Villages progress, I progress. There is happiness, there is livelihood, and there is a lot of hope. And in this journey, I have found the never-ending passion and dedication of one organization, Wellspun, an organization that believes that business can be more than just business.
A couple of years back, we just thought, how could business be the agent of change? And that's where we realized that it's not just about business, it's also about how we work with our communities. And that's when we started talking about and working on 3 E's: education, environment, health, and empowerment.
The women who were confined to their homes are today independent. They are working at women empowerment centers, supporting their families in an environment that is comfortable, convenient, and acceptable. Spun centers where women are working to revive the dying art and craft of Kutch, as well as upcycling waste into contemporary products, are also transforming the story of their lives.
यह काम करना हमें अच्छा लगता है। कोई समय भी फिक्स नहीं है कि इस समय आ जाना तो आ ही जाना। जो हमको अच्छा लगे आ जाते हैं, तो हमको भी खुशी मिलती है और हमारे घर वालों को भी खुशी मिलती है।
Women in the communities are getting educated and realizing its importance. Young women from different parts of the country work at the Wellspun manufacturing facilities. The Wellspun Women's Hostel not just provides them with comfortable and secure accommodation, but also looks after their health and nutritional needs.
मैंने 1 साल में इतना बदलाव लाया कि मैंने अपने बहन को साइंस में एडमिशन किया और मेरे भैया को भी साइंस में एडमिशन मिला और मैंने अपने घर के सारी प्रॉब्लमें जो थी वो मैंने 1 साल में सॉल्व की.
People with special needs have also found employment and independence at Wellspun plants. In many parts of India, both urban and rural, microfinance is helping small traders overcome their financial challenges. Wellspun is helping people grow. My children today have a future, one which I wouldn't have dreamt of had I not seen the schools supported by Wellspun around me. Quality education provided by well-trained, dedicated teachers has given the children's dreams wings. Wellspun runs a Train the Teacher program, which is set to cover triple the number of schools in 3 years in partnership with the government. Right from Anganwadis, community schools and state-run schools, all promise a bright future for children.
हमारे गांव में 4 आंगनवाड़ी है। जो वेल्सपन ने मॉडर्न आंगनवाड़ी बनाई है वो मेरी आंगनवाड़ी है। तो यहाँ पे जो वाली आती है बच्चों को छोड़ने, वो पूरा विश्वास से छोड़ के जाती है। ये मेरे लिए प्रॉफिट विलेज है और मैं कहीं भी जाना नहीं चाहूंगी।
There are Vedic schools too that provide education the traditional way. Wellspun Vidya Mandir is a world-class CBSE school at par with the best schools in the country with modern facilities.
So ours was the first CBSE private trust-run school in the vicinity. And the idea was not only to provide education to Wellspun employees, but to provide a good school to even non-Wellspunites.
Wellspun is also sponsoring education of orphan students. The aim is to support their educational needs. Dreams of promising athletes are also being nurtured by Wellspun. The company is sponsoring the training of sportspersons who are all set to compete at the national level and have the ambition to win for India at the international level. A country like ours understands the value of water. Today, I see large lakes and RO plants that give me water and ensure safety of life. I have lush green trees around me, which bring more rain. Large effluent treatment plants ensure that water used in manufacturing processes is being reused and there is no wastage of water. This reuse of wastewater will make more fresh water from the river available to the people for their use. I am happy that my environment is clean and green. My villages are nothing like they used to be. They are smart villages connected to the world. I have sanitation in the form of toilets. Rural women are discovering hygiene, convenience, and income through handmade sanitary napkins made by them. Modern healthcare reaches everyone through health camps, education drives, and mobile health vans. Beyond my boundaries, Wellspun is actively involved with its local communities. In the USA, Wellspun has created hundreds of jobs. The company regularly participates in job fairs at local schools and collection drives for the underprivileged. The employees also actively add their bit to the company's efforts. I know I'm truly progressing. Progress that is only going to grow and extend beyond what is there today. And in this journey, I have realized that Wellspun is a partner forever. Wellspun Group, leading tomorrow together. Thoughtful creations, transforming lives. A name synonymous with innovation leadership, Wellspun. Wellspun City Anjar symbolizes an inspiring transformation, where an earthquake-ravaged region rose to become a self-sustaining ecosystem, with the world's largest home textile facility, supported by Wellspun's mother plant at Vapi. Inside these vertically integrated premises is where the magic unfolds. A name synonymous with innovation leadership, Wellspun. Wellspun City from cotton warehouse to spinning, with one of the largest modern spinning plants, having high automation, traceability, material handling, packing and storage system. Weaving, having high-speed looms with dobby and jacquards. Processing plant integrated with dyeing. Printing, including rotary and digital. Finishing, cotton warehouse, cut and sew with fully automatic stitching, as well as hanger transport systems. Packaging, after passing through metal detectors. And fully equipped testing labs accredited by NABL. We have an integrated setup for fashion and utility bedding products with an in-house non-woven plant for making wadding. We also have a complete solution for tufted rugs and carpets. Our facilities adhere to the highest quality standards and compliance norms, while proximity to cotton-growing regions and our on-site vendor ancillary park helps us with faster customer serviceability. Our well-connected plants seamlessly link us to the global supply chains. We also have in-house capability to make high-performance non-wovens, as well as health and hygiene products. And with our new flooring solutions plant in Telangana, we are now disrupting the world of flooring too. While proximity to cotton-growing regions, however, our greatest asset is our committed team of Wellspunners. With Wellspun Colony, we provide them with all the modern amenities for comfortable living, while our skill development centers focus on their continuous learning and upgradation. Even in the tough COVID times, we swiftly resumed operations, ensuring safety, health and well-being with our audited Wellspun Penta protocols. However, our manufacturing plants score high on the environment indices too. With Wellspun Colony, 100% of our water needs in Anjar are met through recycled wastewater. We are also moving from linear to circular systems and supporting local women to make beautiful handcrafted products from factory remnants. As agents of change, we believe in transforming the lives of our communities, where villages are becoming model villages, where women rise empowered, 100% of our water needs in Anjar, and where children have a brighter future. Yes, from these lands, we continue to weave magic in millions of homes around the world. To make beautiful handcrafted Wellspun from factory remnants. As agents of change, we believe in transforming the lives of our
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Fine, doing fine. You began traveling?
Yes, sir. A little bit. With caution, but.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Madhya Pradesh was always under control, so that
Yeah.
was not.
After June, it was pretty much under control.
No, even during the peak, it was not that bad, right? Compared with many other states.
Yeah, except for few cities
Yeah.
like Indore and Bhopal, they went pretty bad in April and May. But after June, suddenly everything went under control. So we have less than 10 cases for last, I think, 10, 15 days.
Yeah, and zero deaths also, I think,
Zero deaths.
Yeah.
So and hospitalization is also pretty low.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Even
so
in
they're
Kerala,
hardly-
hospitalization is limited.
Right. But the numbers are alarming.
Yeah, I'm not able to figure out what went wrong.
Yeah, maybe they're testing more. I don't know. They're catching more
No,
people.
positivity, forget it. The positivity rate is very high.
Correct. So in the sero survey also, I mean, their antibodies are also not developed over there somehow. Though the infection rate has been consistently high for a very long time over there.
So if you look at, this is what is strange, that the election crowd of West Bengal or Tamil Nadu and all, that didn't result in disproportionate cases.
Right. But few festivals are surging the cases. I mean, there was a need, there was a Onam. So after the cases surged. So that is something,
Onam could have, yeah.
yes, that is perplexing.
True.
So how's Bombay is all right, sir?
Under control, I won't say.
Yeah.
It is, Maharashtra also is not that bad.
Right, it is under control. It was a little bit of worrying, especially in that region.
So one hopes that with Ganpati and all beginning, it should not go out of hand.
Correct. It's just round the corner, sir. Next month.
I don't think last year also Ganpati didn't accelerate. Somehow it was happening only in March, April. I don't know.
Right. So we don't know, sir, how the virus is behaving.
It will end. There is nothing to, if you read the history,
right.
Spanish flu also had multiple waves, and the second wave in Spanish flu was worse than the first wave.
Right.
The third wave, fourth wave were all minor. So, and it lasted 2.5 years. We didn't believe that it will last 2.5 years. That is our problem, right? But otherwise, all pandemics across the world had lasted 2.5 years. 2.5 years. Now with the vaccination, one can hope it will go. I think we will be done with it. I don't think there is.
Right. So I think the chain is breaking because of vaccination. I mean, people vaccinated, they don't tend to infect. Even if they get infected, it's not so severe. So
yeah.
So that is what the studies suggest as of now.
I think it will end. We have to hope for that.
Right. Good morning, Mr. Narula. Welcome.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Kapil. How are you?
Fine. Thank you, Mr. Tyagarajan. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Anirban. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. You are back in office?
Yes, I am. As often as I can be.
Good morning, Mr. Ghosh. Welcome.
Good morning, Sandeep. Good morning, Kapil.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Anirban. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Are all of you operating from home?
No, I have been in office from June.
Good.
We are following a roster system, Anirban, in Delhi. In the CII office, we are following a roster system. So on alternate days, one team is going to office and other days, other team is going. So that's what we are doing. So today I am operating from home.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Mathur.
You're on mute, I guess.
You're muted, yeah.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you doing, Sandeep ji?
I'm good, sir. How about you?
Very fine. Thank you very much.
So you're based out of Delhi or
No, I'm based out of Bombay.
Bombay? All right, okay.
I'm based out of Bombay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Mathur, good morning. This is Tyagarajan.
Very good morning, Mr. Tyagarajan. How are you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Good seeing you.
Wonderful to see you also. I also was under the impression you operate out of Delhi for some reason.
I used to, but that was a long time back. But and now it is out of the Bombay is now the place where I operate from. And you are based out of Delhi?
No, Mumbai.
Mumbai. Okay, wonderful.
We will catch up one of these days.
Sure. Let's do that. Sure, let's do that.
We'll begin in a couple of minutes. We are just waiting for the secretary to join us. Another 2 minutes, sir.
Okay.
Sure.
Roshan, you have somebody else's name showing on your window.
Yes, sir. I'm facing some issue with my laptop, so I'm logging.
I was wondering.
Yeah, I was a little confused, but after you spoke, I guess.
Sandeep ji, how's the business looking? Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me, sir? Sorry, I was muted. Yeah.
No, I can hear you. I'm saying just before we start, how's the business looking to you?
It's looking up a bit.
Okay.
The things are flowing. So, I mean, people are a little bit tentative with the third wave, the rumors about third wave, but I think people are opening up. I mean, we see a good prospect.
Okay. That's encouraging.
Yeah. Especially with a lot of projects coming up, the government is also keen on spending on various projects. I think that will open up various key sectors. That will open up the business, I think.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. I think so. There's a lot of spending which is already happening and what is already planned.
Right.
Probably that should kickstart things.
Right. Yeah. So intention is good, sir. of the government, so they are trying to do something. So we hope that
funds is the issue.
Funds are
money is the issue
right now, so payments are the issue. That's a big challenge.
I think so. There's quite a bit of a mobilization which is happening in terms of fighting the pandemic. So probably as it settles down, more and more fund availability should be
right.
The business. Yeah, that's a way to.
That is very important, sir. Cash flow is extremely important to keep the business running. So if it stops, then everything stops.
Correct.
Slows down.
Correct. No, but the intent, you are absolutely right. The intent looks good, and I think so. In terms of the spending, what they are planning to do, if it can be duly supported by fund, I think so. It can really kickstart the economy.
That's right, sir. So it will have a cascading effect.
Absolutely, everyone in the value chain will be benefited out of that. That's right.
Right. So ACS sir is here, sir. Mr. Srivastav, good morning. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And good to know.
Your voice is a little bit.
Roshan, how are we doing? When can we start?
So we can start, sir, right away, I think.
Many of us will probably have something happening at 11. So
yeah. So we will start right away, sir. I think we can do that. Yeah.
Yes, I think we can start, I think.
Right. Okay. Shri Malesh Srivastav, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of PHE, Government of MP. Mr. B. Thiagarajan, Chairman, CII Western Region and Managing Director, Blue Star Limited. Mr. Vipul Mathur, Managing Director and CEO, Wellspun Corporation. Mr. Anirban Ghosh, Chairman, CII Western Region Subcommittee on Environmental Sustainability and Chief Sustainability Officer, Mahindra Group. Dr. Kapil Narula, Chief Executive Director, CII Triveni Water Institute. I think we have Mr. Tejashwi Nayak, Managing Director, Madhya Pradesh Jal Nigam also with us. Welcome, sir. Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome at today's conclave. It is indeed a pleasure to be present here amongst such august gathering. At the outset, I would like to thank all the dignitaries present in online mode and physically at Bhopal for sparing their time and participating in today's water conclave with the theme Understanding and Re-engineering Water and Wastewater Management. By the way, I would like to inform you that we have more than 200 registrations today. So that's very encouraging. Many members from the business fraternity across Western region have urged the CII Council and committees to take initiative for creating a platform on elaborating and exploring the cost-effective technologies and best practices for recycling and reuse of water, including wastewater management by industrial users. Water is increasingly becoming a scarce resource. Water and environment crises have been looming in our horizon for quite some time now. The whole world is facing chronic water risk at an alarming pace. On one hand, the gap between demand and supply is increasingly widening, while on the other hand, extremes, both droughts and floods, are becoming more visible than ever before. Water quality and health of water bodies continues to be areas of huge concern. Assessment shows that India's current trajectory can slow down development unless appropriate measures are taken to confront this crisis. Various stakeholders are working on mission mode to conserve it wherever possible. The industry is an important stakeholder in water resource management, and as a responsible member of the community, we need to be proactive in combating water risks. According to the United Nations World Water Development Report, industry accounts for 22% of all global water withdrawals, which is expected to increase to 24% by 2025. The need of understanding and re-engineering the water and wastewater management is emerging as a primary belief in sustainability debate across the globe. Although much industrial water is available for reuse, Still, a large portion is usually degraded by the processes it has been involved in. And the need of the hour is the treatment of this type of water before it returns to the water supply. Industry must consider water issues as an integral part of corporate social responsibility and become environment conscious. Indian industry need to rise to the challenge of making growth inclusive and efficient. This can be done through investing in resources, for example, environmental friendly technologies and active community engagements. The principle of 4 Rs need to be widely practiced. Reduce through efficient equipment and better system and process in place. Reuse offers opportunity to reduce expenses. Recycle increases production efficiency with the same amount of water available. Recharge generates opportunities for putting water back in natural systems. Corporates need to take initiatives to make their operations water positive, whereby achieving a net gain in recharge of water and not merely neutralizing the water withdrawn. Today's conclave not only strives to assimilate the learnings from different disciplines that covers various facets of water and wastewater management, but also aims at supporting the participating delegates in understanding the nitty-gritties of state-of-art technologies and methodologies involved in efficient water management, wastewater treatment and reuse, rain harvesting, groundwater management, etc. I would like to particularly thank Mr. Anirban Ghosh, Chairman of CII Western Region Subcommittee on Environment Sustainability, for taking the initiative to organize an event on water issues and bringing together a steering committee which has organized this program. Various deliberations and presentations by our esteemed speakers during the day today would showcase the opportunities of joint initiatives that can be taken by private players with government under PPP mode, especially under the Jal Jeevan Mission, which is one of the most ambitious programs announced by the Government of India in recent times, with an estimated outlay of rupees 3.6 lakh crore to provide piped water supply to every rural household. As a developmental institution, CII have been very closely working with different stakeholders to focus and resolve on all issues related to water management, including detailed water audits for industry, wastewater treatments, etc. And I would like to assure full support on behalf of CII towards water conservation and restoration. With these words, I would again like to welcome you all at today's program and look forward for a productive day ahead. Thank you. Well, moving ahead, may I now invite Mr. Vipul Mathur, Managing Director and CEO, Welspun Corporation Limited. A brief introduction. Mr. Mathur is a science graduate with MBA in marketing. He has been associated with Welspun Group for more than 20 years now and has played varied leadership roles in India and Middle East. He comes with rich experience in the field of marketing of heavy engineering goods, pipes and plates in oil and gas and water segments. Prior to his elevation as MD and CEO, Mr. Mathur was officiating as the CEO for the company. Over to you, Mr. Mathur, for your address, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandeep ji, for this generous introduction, and a very good morning to all of you. First of all, my heartiest congratulations to CII for organizing this very important water conclave. It is indeed my privilege to share this virtual platform with industry leaders and luminaries like with ACS, Mr. Shrivastava, and Mr. Nayak, MD, MP General Nigam. And I look forward to listening to all these dignitaries as we go along today. I am also looking forward for the keynote address of Shri Malesh Srivastava ji to hear the state government views and also his thoughts on the very important subject, as well as how we can collaborate to further contribute to the development and progress of this region. I am also looking forward to the presentation by Shri Nayak ji, Managing Director, MP General Nigam, on opportunities in PPP mode on water management technologies, along with possible solutions to industry issues regarding water management. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, Welspun around a year back had launched its new pipe plant in pipeline facility in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, the heart of India. This was inaugurated by the Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Shivraj Singh Ji. And I want to tell you that this is not the only investment which Welspun has made in MP. In fact, in 2012-13, we have done the largest solar project in Madhya Pradesh, which was 151 megawatt in the district of Neemuch. Thereafter, we had been invested into Devas Industrial Water Supply Project, which Welspun has taken over. That project was running quite a bit late. We have taken over, and with the cooperation and the help and support of the state government, we had finished that project. This project became the first water supply project dedicated for industrial use at the Devas. So solar and water, apart from solar and water, we have been also very actively participating in construction of roads and highways in the state of Madhya Pradesh, and Bhopal Devas Highway, which connects Indore to Bhopal, has been done by Welspun Group. Now, with a world-class facility of pipes and coatings in Madhya Pradesh, our relationship with Madhya Pradesh has even become much more stronger. We are extremely thankful to the Honorable Chief Minister and the ACS and all the state government functionaries for their continued support during our journey in this beautiful state. As you must be aware that apart from this pipeline, we have also now announced setting up of a large state-of-the-art ductile iron plant at our facility in Anjar. This is a significant investment by us to support the country's growing demand for water connectivity infrastructure. Both these pipelines, which is mild steel, large diameter plants and DI plants, would significantly contribute in developing the water infrastructure under Narmada Water Pipeline Project and Jal Jeevan Mission, both of which have been getting significant attention and support both from the state government and the central government. We are committed that both these plants will be able to meet the required quality, delivery expectations, and timely completions of those national infrastructure projects which are now being conceived. Coming to the theme of discussion today, which is understanding and reimagining water and wastewater management system, I strongly believe that wastewater management methods must change now in response to the need of urban development, population growth, and diminishing natural resources. The recent trends in urban water management suggest framing up of robust policy initiatives towards decentralized water management, wastewater reuse, and wet water flow management, which I believe are the three key issues today and should be focused in the context of future urban wastewater management requirements in India. Let me briefly touch upon all the three aspects. The decentralized wastewater management is typically defined as collection, treatment, and reuse of water at or near its source of generation. Most individuals or organizations desire wastewater management to be unobstructive, convenient, and do not require significant maintenance effort on their part. Simultaneously, research and development has significantly improved the operation and management of septic tanks and developing innovative and improved on-site treatment technologies, that is intermittent and recirculating packed bed filtration. Now we need to take these breakthrough initiatives more accessible and affordable for increased adoption. The second wastewater management concept that will be important in future is wastewater reuse. Wastewater reuse generally occurs on site or at the end of the centralized collection and treatment operation. Reuse of wastewater at the end of a centralized collection and treatment operation can help reduce the demand for national water resources. Currently, reuse is more attractive economically in the industrial setting than in the residential setting. But with the growing population and future demand of potable water in residential area, wastewater reuse will likely become more economical in residential area as well, with the support of the government. Third, managing the quantity and quality of wet weather flow is the final issue expected to significantly influence the development of wastewater management in future. Hence, facilities and creation of storage of all this will need to be focused and planned. Beside all these issues and recommendations, as Sandeep ji also mentioned, I believe that as corporates can also take more responsibilities in order to contribute the subject of sustainability, CSR initiatives when it comes to water conservation, either directly or through the PPP mode. At Welspun, we have also made sustainability as our intrinsic value of our operation, and we are putting in place globally benchmark sustainability practice by identifying various processes for water and waste management. In fact, at Wellspun, we have gone beyond and adopted the ESG framework in order to create more value for our stakeholders while also contributing to the nation. We are also been focusing on enhancing our operational efficiency, which would result in substantial reduction in resource utilization and waste generation, especially the water. We are also aiming to become carbon neutral and looking to and relying heavily on renewable energy resources in carrying out all our operations. A classic example of this is our investment of more than 150 crore rupees in the STP and the ETP plants in Gujarat, which has resulted in a substantial water uses in our plant operation, as well as reuse the wastewater from the nearby regions, thereby making the Narmada water available for other purposes like agriculture and general and potable use. Besides these investments, Wellspun is also committed for the development of state. We have been very focused in terms of our inclusive growth, keeping in mind the society's holistic development. We continuously strive to bring about meaningful difference in the lives of the people whom we touch by our philosophy 3E, which is the education, empowerment, environmental health. Through our target initiative, we are reaching out to nearby villages in the area of hygiene, health awareness, education, water conservation, and women empowerment. In fact, breaking the conventional norms, WCL manufacturing facilities employ women in the technical fields. In this way, we are trying to inspire all aspiring young women to advance their career and build a future in the field of manufacturing where women can excel just like their male counterparts. With these words, I once again want to thank CII for inviting me to be a part of this conclave and look forward to listening to all the dignitaries on their thoughts and recommendations on today's subject. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mathur. And I think we are very pleased that the organization like Wellspun is taking proactive steps in adopting the environmental technologies, so which will go a long way. And definitely the 3 points: decentralizing wastewater management, wastewater reuse, and managing the quality and quantity of wet water flow. That will go a long way and will help us to become sustainable in the future. Thank you very much for your insights, Mr. Mathur. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
much. I now invite Mr. Malesh Srivastav for his address. Mr. Srivastav is 1990 batch IS officer and currently serving as the Additional Chief Secretary of MP Government, Public Health Engineering Department, along with chairing the board of Madhya Pradesh Pollution Control Board. The board has been vested with considerable authority and responsibility under various environmental legislation to protect the environment. Prior to his current role, he has held several important positions in state as well as the central government departments, including telecom, PWD, urban administration, legislative affairs, district administration, and others. Over to you, Mr. Srivastav. Thank you.
Good morning, Sandeep. Good morning to all of the participants, Mathur, Tyagarajan, Ghosh. Of course, to begin with, I'd like to thank CII for associating me with this conclave, because my current assignment, as Sandeep has rightly mentioned, both PHE and environment, of course the Pollution Control Board, they are quite closely connected to today's subject. So without wasting any time, I will first like to go through the presentation on Jal Jeevan Mission. Basically, briefly, I will highlight and present before the August gathering as to what are the opportunities, particularly the Jal Jeevan Mission for the industry partners in different fields. Next, please. Is it visible to everyone? Sandeep, is it visible to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I think it's not moving forward. Yeah. So, as I think most of the participants must be knowing, uh, perhaps the Jal Jeevan Mission is one of the most ambitious and widespread program for providing tap drinking water connection to every rural household. And in fact, if I put in a nutshell, that what is the task we have? In fact, I hope I'm audible. Yeah. Yeah. The task which we have in 5 years, because the mission started in 2019, we have to complete by 2024. In fact, in Madhya Pradesh, we have started a bit late in 2020, and we have kept an over ambitious target of completing in 2023. So in these 5 years, we actually have to do 5 times of the task which has been done in the last 70 years. That only shows what a daunting task we have. In fact, here I would like to mention that in Madhya Pradesh, we have to cover about 122 lakh households in the rural areas. And as we stand, as it's clear that when we started the project, our coverage was hardly about 15%. And now we have reached around 33%. So in the last about a year, we have provided around 21 lakh household tap connections. And I have just given the relative position of the different states, because most of the dignitaries who are participating today, they're not only contributing in the development of Madhya Pradesh, but they are contributing in the entire country. Next, please. In fact, as a way forward, this I had mentioned about the projects where we had already done the financial closure. So as I mentioned, that about out of 122 lakh total households, we already covered around 22. So we are required to cover around 90. Out of 90 this year, we have targeted 22 lakhs. Next year, around 22 and a half. And the last year, around 21. So it's not that the balance 20 lakh will not be covered. In fact, I've only mentioned that for around more than 65 lakhs, I had already done the financial closure. In fact, because all of you have been working with the government, when financial closure I mean, that means the projects have been approved. They are in the different process of tendering. Next, please. This is, in fact, the current status, and this only shows that how is the coverage. In fact, one of the districts, perhaps you must be familiar with that, Burhanpur, right on the south side. This has already been covered 100%. And there is another small district close to Orcha. If anyone of you might have, it's called Newari. Newari is also likely to be covered in the next 2 months. So likewise, we have targeted which are the districts we are going to cover in different years. Next, please. So coming back to the projects, that basically we have got 2 types of projects. SBS stands for Single Village Scheme. Wherever the underground water position is good, we have a boring, we put in a pump, and thereafter there is an overhead tank, and then we supply it through the distribution line and through the tap connection in the home. So around 12,500 projects for 12,500 villages, costing about 7,000 crores, they are already under implementation. If I say proposed, that means these are the projects which have already been approved. They are in different stages of tendering. They are also about 6,000. When I talk about multi-village scheme, in fact, my colleague uh, Tejasvi, who is the MD of MD Jal Nigam, Madhya Pradesh Jal Nigam, he is piloting such huge projects. So under 49 projects worth 11,500 crores, they are already under various stages of implementing. In some, we are doing the intake well. In some, we are doing the distribution lines. In some, we are doing the water treatment plant. Then around 27 projects are proposed. There also the financial closure has been done, and they are likely to be tendered sometime in the month of October. That means we are basically going for tendering, which I will be telling later, that before the end of this calendar year, these multi-village schemes, the tendering which is going to take place is going to be worth 15,000 crores. So this is the general spread, and we have tried to show in the color coding that which are the projects. Incidentally, there are also projects which have already been completed and they are under operation and maintenance, because the projects which we are tendering, that is not only for capex, that is you implement the project, but you operate and manage also for next 10 years. So we are successfully doing it for the projects which we have completed. Next, please. Now I come for the what are the opportunities. Though all my friends in the industry must already be aware of it, but I will again like to re-emphasize, as you all must be knowing, that about 60% of the cost of these projects is the pipeline, whether it is DI or HDP or DI. And we all have experienced how this scarce commodity, it was not so scarce before the launch of Jal Jeevan Mission, but it has become actually quite scarce because demand has actually gone up 3 times, 4 times. And as I mentioned, the projects have to be completed for 2024. And the funding pattern is like this, that 5 to 10% contribution comes from the community. If it is a SC, scheduled caste and scheduled tribe dominated area, they contribute 5%. And it is a general community, it contributes 10%. The rest of the financial uh, uh, financial is shared by state and center. Second is the electromechanical items, because we need a lot of pumps, valves, motors, switch gears, transformers. And let me specify that these are not only required for the multi-village scheme, where we actually required quite a high capacity pumps and the transformers also, but for the small and single village scheme. If I could just give the quantum of the project, if it is a single village project, it could be either a greenfield project, it could be called as the new single village scheme, or it could be a retrofitting. Retrofitting means, because we already have a pipe water supply scheme around 15,000 already working, but 100% households were not connected. So connecting households or improving the source, that comes under retrofit. But if I talk about multi-village scheme, then we basically base these schemes on a surface water. We lift the water either from a river, perennial river, or from the dam. Thereafter, we do an intake well. Thereafter, we have a water treatment plant, and thereafter we take this water to different villages. And the cost of these schemes, the cost of single village scheme would be somewhere between 50 lakhs to maximum about 3 crores. But when you talk about multi-village scheme, my biggest scheme would be as big as 1,500 crores, which will be covering about 1,200 villages. And the smallest scheme would be maybe around 150 crores. And so that is the type of project. And then of course the various equipment, chemicals and water treatment, and chlorine and alarm, maintain it for 10 years. And then of course the basic construction material, which is the backbone, steel and cement. Next please. Now, as I mentioned you, that more than 18,000 crores are already in progress. About 15,000 crores I am going to tender out before December 21, because as per the Government of India norm, these projects have to be awarded before 31st of January. Then only we can avail of the the financial grant from the government of India. And the smaller projects have to be completed by 31st of March. So the time is ticking very fast. We have to work 30 hours in 24 hours. That's how my team is working. Then operation and maintenance I already told. Then there is an excellent opportunity. Of course, you all have known that providing drinking water, I consider it to be an opportunity given by God to me and my team. Basically, do this good work for the society. Next. Then there are softer elements also, like third-party inspection. Whatever work we do, the payment has to be done only after third-party inspection. So we have appointed third-party inspection for every district and every big project of Jal Nigam. Then there are SQCs, that is quality control, third-party inspection. Then we have, then of course the quality certification. I will tell you that you all know about NABL accredited labs. In fact, in my state, I had 52 labs, and you will be happy to know that out of these 52, in the last 1 year, I have accredited all 51. One is remaining, which is likely to be accredited next week. So Himachal, of course, has accredited all 12 labs. We are going to be the second state, the first of the large state to do it. So there is so much of focus on technology. We are going for IoT, Internet of Things. We are also going for tasting of water, so that we want is to be a potable water, and we want it to be checked by the community itself. And next, please. Then, of course, there are innovation. There are certain industry partners who are working on the solar sector also. There is a huge opportunity for them. If somehow we could get some good RESCO model, that would be reducing our maintenance bill on maintenance. Another thing, because for doing this, we require a lot of manpower also, the skilled manpower. So we are taking in a big way the training of 50,000 plumbers, masons, electricians, fitters, and then around 5.5 lakh women self-help group. They can be given work of maintenance of their scheme and also recovery of the bills. Next, please. And as a last slide, perhaps, that now FSTC coverage for this year, as I already told, we want to increase it from 33 to 51%. Another point which I would like to mention, that it's not that we are only covering the households. We are covering all Anganwadi. We are covering all schools, ashram sala, primary health centers, panchayats, all institutions in the rural sector, because we want that the potable water supply should be available to all. And all of you will agree with me that in the post-COVID scenario, how important it is, because now post-COVID all schools are opening. So this time when the students will reach there, they will find the tap water with clear water in all their schools. And this, of course, I had mentioned that in absolute terms, if I talk about, since JJMI was announced by Honorable Prime Minister on 15th of August 2019, since then, we are currently at number 5 position, because we have just done 1 year. Next, I think this slide must infuse confidence in you that as far as the spending is concerned, we are moving very, very fast. This was the figure of yesterday. Today we have crossed Uttar Pradesh. If I could tell you, Government of India has increased my budget from 1280 crores to 5,100 crores for the current financial year. You all must be actually hearing that the financial position of the government is not very good, state and center. But let me give you a good news, which will be music to your ear, that I don't know about other departments. In my department, my state government has increased my budget from 2,000 crore to 7,000, and with a promise that whatever I spend, my chief minister has told me, who incidentally is also my minister of the department, that Jal Jeevan Mission is getting full support from all of them. And I'm sure I'm getting all the support from industry partners also. So this is all from my side. And I will end with this, that in Madhya Pradesh, I am getting tremendous support from the industry. I hope the same in future also. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Srivastav, Mr. Tejasvi Nayak, for enlightening us with, with what you're doing, such a humongous task. And I must congratulate you for that, for taking up such a big project and big challenge. And it's really heartening to know that the finances for the industry, that the finances are not going to be a problem. So I think that will give us a lot of confidence to come up and take up and participate along with the state of Madhya Pradesh. So let me inform the participants that Madhya Pradesh had always been proactive in implementing these water schemes. For the past 4-5 years, they have been doing this. And with this Jal Jeevan mission, it's really good to know that our spending is number 2 in the country. And it creates a tremendous opportunities for various sectors. And we are welcoming all to come and do business here in Madhya Pradesh. I have few people, Mr. Srivastav, who would like to ask you certain questions. I have Mr. Anand Raval, MD Unicare Technologies Private Limited. He wanted to say something. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Raval, please. Mr. Raval, you have to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. First of all, thank you for CII given this opportunity. I will thank to dignitaries on this diocese and of this diocese. I will again thank you. Thanks. CII creating such a platform or the stakeholders can be stands. With me and my director, Mr. Anand sir, would like to show the short video presentation Unicare Technologies Private Limited. Please, Mr. Arpit, play this video. Hello.
No, I think you have a session. Mr. Anand has a session.
Yes.
Later on. So I think we can do that.
हाँ, मैं उनको present कर रहा हूँ sir basically.
हाँ.
Yes.
So if he has a question right now,
Yes,
to Mr. Srivastav, because Mr. Srivastav has to go, he
Yeah.
has got some meeting. So
1 second.
Mr. Anand is not there.
Mm,
He was present anyway. So I think thank you very much, Mr. Srivastav, Mr. Nayak, for enlightening us. It was a wonderful session, and it was very encouraging and enlightening for all of us. So definitely, I think there are brighter days coming for the industries in Madhya Pradesh. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time. And
In fact, I decided to postpone my meeting with you till 11.
yeah. Thank you, Mr. Nayak. Thank you, Mr. Srivastav. Thanks a lot.
Am I audible, Sandeep?
Uh,
Am I audible now?
Arpit
yes,
sir.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just telling that earlier I was 10:30.
So your voice is a little bit not audible, sir.
Is it audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I was just telling that I am with you all till 11. I have postponed my meeting from 10:30 to 11. So I am there. So if anybody wants to say
That's a
anything,
good news.
most
Yeah. Right. Thank you, sir. May I now invite Mr. Tyagarajan, Chairman, CII Western Region, for his address, please. Mr. Tyagarajan.
Thank you, Mr. Navlik. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Malesh Srivatsav, for that wonderful presentation. I express my gratitude. We are fortunate that you are participating in this conference. Mr. Vipul Mathur, your speech was wonderful. And the ESG framework within which Wellspun is pursuing the noble objectives, it is really commendable. Thank you for participating in this session. Saurav, Mr. Anirban Ghosh, Dr. Kapil Narula, thank you for being here. I join Sandeep in welcoming you. It's a pleasure and privilege to be part of this particular session. I also take this opportunity to compliment the Madhya Pradesh state government led by its Chief Minister and the stellar role played by Mr. Srivatswa and team in combating the pandemic in an effective manner. Um, the um, the very first point that I would like to mention is whether as corporates we give importance to the finance as a reserve, human capital as a important resource, but water may not be given that kind of importance. So how do corporates measure the water usage within its ecosystem, not only the corporate itself, and also the vendors and the other ecosystem connected with them even in an integrated reporting? Mr. Mathur will be aware. Water doesn't get a separate chapter by itself, that electricity gets it, but water as a resource, how we can measure and report for each company, how we are going to be using it. And the same, it is connected with the point Sandeep, you mentioned about the wastewater also, that how we are. The second point I would like to mention is the CII's commitment to circular economy. It's a very important subject for CII. Sustainability is a part of our own theme this year as well. And the wastewater treatment forms an integral part of the circular economy. Vast majority of our membership being MSMEs, it makes business sense to embrace circular economy. It is not a reporting framework like ESG or integrated reporting, but it is going to generate money for yourself. And so CII is very much committed to the circular economy as well. The third point is the industry academia connect with regard to water, and in few areas we do have connect, but water as a subject, I think the industry and academia have not collaborated enough. And specifically, by academia, I do not mean even the universities, even at the secondary education level, how we can join together. Since Mr. Srivatsa is here, that I also wanted to place on record the my own compliments to you for allocating resources for water. That number two in the country, and I wanted to also know whenever you speak later, or I will call on you. I found states like Orissa, where the mining cess that is collected is fully allocated for water resources development. So whether there should be a policy at the central state level for certain taxes that are levied or set aside only for the resource management as far as water is concerned. At the same time, we may also want to incentivize the industries for the wastewater treatment. Um, we all know the importance of water, and the stalwarts are here, that whether it is Anirban or Dr. Narula, they live with this subject in their mind morning to evening, 24/7, 365 days. I don't think I can add anything much more to whatever I stated. But having said that, from the Western region perspective, a few points I would like to state that the water is an important subject as a part of the sustainability initiative. And for many, many years, we have been working on this subject. We are all aware of the Niti Aayog report in 2018, which stated that 600 million people, or nearly half of India's population, face extreme water stress. Three-fourths of India's rural households do not have piped potable water and they rely on sources that pose serious health risks. In the post-pandemic world, and with the climate change globally getting renewed attention with the new administration in the US, I suppose this subject also will gain traction. Water is increasingly becoming an area of concern and a very big challenge for power plants, as well as there is uncertainty associated to sustainable supply of the water resource to the existing plants and the new ones to come. Across the states, you will see when the chief ministers pitch for attracting investment. Yesterday, it was Maharashtra's chief minister spoke in an event, and in the Horasis India meeting, I happened to be in the same panel where the chief minister delivered an excellent address. And Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh also drew the attention of the audience to the fact that water is available in plenty. So for even attracting the investment, water is being positioned as a very important factor for someone to take a decision for placing the investment. So therefore, it is two areas of action. That is what this conference is about: promoting water conservation and reducing water demand, the application of emerging water-saving technologies, designing industrial processes to conserve water, and recycling water. These are the subjects these kind of events showcase, and we from CII commit ourselves to this particular subject. I'm also willing to share with you and have pleasure in doing so. We are doing some wonderful work in the areas of water across the country through CII Water Institute. Dr. Narula will be talking about it much more. The water planning and assessment tool, WattScan, which is an integrated IT-driven GIS and remote sensing based information system that enables comprehensive watershed evaluation and aimed at devising community-centric water management interventions. This particular tool is getting talked about in every forum. And again, I'm saying yesterday in an event chaired by Maharashtra Chief Minister, WattScan was talked about, and our work in Aurangabad was talked about. And I have seen it this year alone in about 12 events. We have showcased this. This is a unique tool which the industry members should seek. And I'm certain Dr. Narula will be interested in coming over and making a presentation. And this tool can be used by every institution. It's a large private sector or municipalities or the state governments and the central government institutions. And it is very important for you to, there is no commitment, request Dr. Narula to come over and make a presentation. He will be happy to do so. In the Western region, one of the key focus areas of CII intervention, I told you, is water. And there is a program for livelihood training in select villages in drought-prone districts of Maharashtra under the Be Sure program. It was implemented in 4 drought-prone villages in Aurangabad, and there are plans to scale this up to 20 villages in Aurangabad and Solapur. Various sessions and training programs are also being organized by CII to disseminate knowledge on water scenario and enhance practical understanding of various tools that can be applied for optimal water management. Mr. Srivatsa, we will be happy to work with you. You have our commitment in complementing your efforts, and we are at your call. I wish everyone present all the very best for today's conclave. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thiagarajan, for your views regarding what CII is doing in the Western region, especially for the points where you mentioned that water should be getting a separate chapter like electricity, where we can measure it and regulate it. And our commitment for circular economy, where water and wastewater is an important part. And of course, using the talent of academia by collaborating with the industry in a very, very important topic of water and wastewater management. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Thiagarajan, for coming here and enlightening us. Thank you so much. Now, may I invite Mr. Anirban Ghosh, Chairman CII Western Region Subcommittee on Environment, Sustainability and Chief Sustainability Officer, Mahindra Group, for his address, please. Mr. Ghosh.
Thank you very much, Sandeep. Mr. Srivastavji, Mr. Thiagarajan, Chairman CII Western Region, Mr. Kapil Narula, and my peers from the corporate world, thank you very much for being a part of this conversation and sharing your perspectives on the important issue of water. Normally, as per the agenda, you would have been listening to Kapil speaking now. Unfortunately, I have an engagement at 11, so I've requested for a little change. Maybe it's a good thing for me, because if Kapil were to speak, I'd have nothing left to say. So Kapil, my apologies for the change, and you shall have the last word. Today, you have heard two broad themes already. You've heard that water is important but scarce, and you've also heard how water is being made available to citizens around the country, especially Madhya Pradesh. And you might ask the question, how can both of these things go together? I will try and bring both of them together in the next few minutes. The good news is that India still gets more water than we need through precipitation. That has not changed. So why do we talk of scarcity? We talk of scarcity because the runoff of the water has increased multiple times. The second problem, of course, is that our population has also increased. But even if we take that into consideration, if we manage the runoffs, we don't have a problem with water. So why has runoff increased? Two major reasons. One, of course, concretization, all the construction that goes on. Second, which we usually ignore, is the change in farming practices. Together, they have led to far higher runoffs than ever before, and the water does not get harnessed. So obviously, it immediately occurs to us that is there a way in which we can harness water well? And I must acknowledge the fantastic work done in Madhya Pradesh, not just in the last few years, but almost over a decade, in the area of community watershed developments. And with the more than 500 odd projects that I am aware of, the availability of water has been significantly increased for farmers in Madhya Pradesh. And probably that is why we are seeing rapid progress in the project that Srivastavji talked to us about in great detail. In fact, I owe a lot to the work that the Madhya Pradesh government has done in the space of water harnessing, because through my organization, I led one of the projects as a project implementation agency partner. And over a period of 5 years, we found that if we managed water well, we could, and we actually did, increase per capita income of the 20,000 people who were in our project area by 3.53 times. This was not a one-off, because in another project, the next one that we took on, the increase in per capita income was greater than 2.62 times. Clearly, community water harvesting through the Integrated Watershed Development Program is not just great for making water available, but it is great for the community. Factories where we have space, we've been able to harness water and also increase water productivity in such a manner that for more than 200 days of the year, we do not have to take water from the municipality or from any public source. We're completely self-sufficient. We've crossed 200 years and are approaching 200 days of the year and are approaching 250. So any industry which has the space and the opportunity to harness water around its facilities can achieve this without too much of investment. These initiatives have led the Mahindra Group to be a water positive group. And I mention it because it is not frightfully difficult to do. It is not technology intensive. It just requires a desire to want to be water positive. And there are state governments and the central government who are happy to work with industries to enable water harnessing so that we are able to recharge more water than we use in our industries. Having said that, let me move on to the demand side and talk about a couple of places where we should not be using fresh potable water at all. The first one is construction. I'm aware that there are places in the country where construction is being done with recycled water. This can be increased many times more. You may know that the Mahindra Group has built two integrated cities, one near Chennai and one near Jaipur. When we were starting the project in Jaipur, obviously there was an issue of where was all the water going to come from. And we actually volunteered and requested the government to give us recycled water from their sewage treatment plants, which we would use for construction. It worked very well. And I know many construction houses have adopted this method wherever possible. But let me give you a possible an idea of impact. I understand on the average, we construct 35 million square meters. For every square meter, 27 kiloliters of water is used. Sorry, not, for every square meter, 27 kiloliters of water is used, which leads to a total use of 945 million kiloliters in a year in our country. Now, you might wonder, what does 945 million kiloliters really mean? If I translate this into the average use of water by an Indian, which is 135 liters per day, this water is enough to satisfy the requirement of our most populous city, Mumbai, for the full year. So Mumbai would never have shortage of water if construction were to move to recycled water only. And this is just one example. And this was in the construction space. I don't know if we realize that of all the water that we use in our own households, about 40% literally goes down the drain. We've just flushed it down the drain and it's all fresh water. And there is absolutely no reason to use fresh water for flushing. So wherever possible, if we move to the use of recycled water, it is one of the criteria now in green buildings. And I know many complexes have started adopting it. We learned about this when we were doing a water audit in one of our resorts and asking the question, how does the water get used? Because we end up paying for that water since most of the water comes in tankers, as the resorts are in areas where we cannot get water otherwise. So it just doesn't make sense to cart water from long distances, pay for it, and then send 40% of it down the drain. So this is another area where we can actually use recycled water, and there are enough technologies now which makes sure that there is no bad odor and that the water is perfectly fit to be used in flushes. Of course, those of us who have large lawns and gardens in our industries, we could use recycled water too, instead of fresh water in that area as well. Now, even as I'm talking about the use of recycled water, you will recognize that there is business opportunity in providing these solutions. To scale up these solutions, we need to have new businesses, and we need to make those businesses robust so that we are not only solving a planet problem, but we are also solving a people problem, and we are enabling livelihoods for people who can work in these new industries. If I were to continue talking about knock-on benefits, imagine the river Miti would be clean, and every city which once had a river which is now a nala or a sewage canal would have a river once again. And then you know what other benefits accrue if you have a fresh river flowing through a city. So I won't get into too many details, but this is the impact that the use of recycled water in construction and the use of recycled water for flushing can have in our cities and our country. The good news is that water is infinitely recyclable. We can actually keep using it over and over and over again. Many of us have had the experience of recycling water or using water. And I hope that this becomes a movement within our country so that, just like it is being done in Madhya Pradesh, many, many more citizens have access to piped water without causing any fears that there will be water scarcity, since our country gets more water from precipitation than we need. Thank you very much for listening patiently to me. Apologies once again to Kapil for this little change in sequence. And I hope through the rest of the conference, we are able to pick up one or two things which we can practice either in our businesses or in our homes, or maybe both. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ghosh, for sharing the good news that water is infinitely recyclable. And that's a really good news that we can keep on using the same water. And sharing the brilliant ideas about how to use these recyclable water in construction and household, where we can save a huge amount of water, which can, as you informed, that which can sustain the Mumbai city. And that is what you did in Jaipur project. So I think these are great ideas, and which will inspire us to towards sustainability. Thank you so much for taking out time and addressing us, Mr. Ghosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. I think we have the pleasure of Mr. Srivastava being with us. He stayed back especially for this. So there are few people who wanted to ask some question. Especially Mr. Srivastava would like to answer to the question raised by Mr. Tyagarajan. Mr. Srivastava, would you like to answer that?
Am I audible?
Not so much, sir. Little bit, sir. A little bit. Yeah. Now.
I'd like to address that issue with Tyagarajan has. In fact, in Madhya Pradesh,
so voice is not very audible, sir.
Hello, is it clear now?
A little bit better, sir.
There's some mic issue here. In fact, as Mr. I'll try to speak a little louder. Is it clear now? Clearer?
A bit clear, sir.
So we are already using mining fund for these water projects in a district called Singrauli, which has lots of mining activities. We have dedicated entire 500 crores, which has already accrued and going to accrue in next 2 years for our water project. So we are doing it in Madhya Pradesh. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I would invite Mr. Govind Rajan, Senior Vice President, Strategy and Business Excellence, to ask this question, sir. Mr. Govind Rajan.
What I can offer, Sandeep, that whichever questions, if they are given, I would be ready to share my responses through CII, which could be shared with the person concerned. And if you permit, I will leave for the next meeting. Thank you so much. It was quite enlightening and useful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sparing your time from your busy schedule. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We'll take it forward, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sandeep, along with the additional Chief Secretary, with your permission, I will leave for my next meeting too.
Absolutely, Mr. Ghosh, and thank you very much. And we'll take it forward definitely, sir. We promise from Madhya Pradesh, we'll take this issue of water and we'll definitely do something, sir. Let us assure you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. May I now invite Mr. Kapil Narula, Executive Director, CII Triveni Water Institute, for his address, please. Mr. Narula.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandeep ji. Thank you very much. And I would actually start by saying that already Mr. Navlekar, Mr. Sandeep ji has already set a very good context when he provided the views in terms of the issues of water and certainly issues of wastewater. And I think Mr. Thyagarajan as well as Mr. Anirban Ghosh have actually done a lot that I was actually thinking of talking today. I think they have already covered a lot of areas where I guess they have shared their views on how things are on the ground, getting changed and getting re-engineered. So in fact, coming to the theme of this important conclave, I have re-engineered. Meanwhile, I had to re-engineer after understanding from what Mr. Thyagarajan said and what Anirban said. I have done a bit of a re-engineering of what I should be coming on with some additional information to all of you. So first of all, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity of connecting with the Western region and connecting with Madhya Pradesh, especially on water, aspects related to water and water management. The way I personally see when I look at the theme of this conference is that, understanding and re-engineering of water and wastewater, in my view, actually refers to a lot, basically to the kind of modifications that we want to bring to the kind of assumptions we usually have, to the kind of assumptions we have or that have been helping us in determining solutions or deployment of technologies and deployment of science on the ground. So we as water professionals over the years have certain assumptions in place which allow us to take science and technology on the ground through various tools and techniques. And I think this re-engineering is all about seeing how have we modified these assumptions, especially in the current context of data science. Today we are living in the world of new databases. We are living in the world of looking at a lot of databases connected through sensor systems, telemetry systems, real-time monitoring systems, sensors. So I think this is exactly what is taking us to the re-engineering part of it, new understanding and re-engineering. And this is, when I see this in the context of what we all are witnessing today, we are witnessing change in regulatory mechanisms. Now, regulatory mechanisms, for example, the Gazette of India of 2020, it very clearly made it mandatory for every 100 meter cube per day, every industry drawing water more than 100 meter cube per day, especially groundwater, have to get mandatorily water audit done. It's a new regulation that has come. Similarly, every industry drawing 100 meter cube per day of water, groundwater, has to get a water mapping done. It's a mandatory requirement. So the new regulations that have come up recently, actually, these are changing. These are going to be far more changing in the future unless and until we see water getting conserved and therefore changes in water availability towards a positive side. Next, we are looking at changes. Mr. Tyagarajan referred to changes in water availability, changes in rainfall patterns. We see a lot of these happenings of droughts and floods. Earlier, we never used to see a drought and a flood happening in a same hydrological regime over a same period. Now, we are witnessing a far more occurrences with a higher rate of frequencies and magnitudes of such kind of extreme events, be it droughts or be it floods, urban floods. These have started happening more frequently. So there is a changing regime in hydrological cycles. There is a changing regime in climate. The recent IPCC report that has come out in August, early August, which is the assessment report 6, it clearly emphasizes that whatever they thought would happen decades after has actually started happening now. So there is a lot of witnessing there is a lot of events that are getting witnessed where a lot of these things have started happening now than they could have happened in the future. So I guess the re-engineering part of it, looking at the data science, looking at the data systems that we are dealing with today, ever before in the past, and looking at the changing systems around us, be it regulations, be it government expectations, be it industry's own new benchmarks and new baselines that they want to set. This is exactly what brings us more closely to what we are basically discussing. Now, for example, look at Singapore. Now, Singapore has come out with a concept of 4 taps. They have come out with a concept of 4 taps where, what are these 4 taps? These are not freshwater taps. These are not surface water tap or a groundwater tap or a rainfall tap. No, these are taps which are signified as water from a local catchment. So tap number 1, water from a local catchment. What is the condition of my local catchment? What is the condition of my watershed? How much water can it provide? How much water are all the stakeholders taking together? So water from local catchment. Second tap is imported water. What we see, a lot of industries, a lot of municipal agencies, they get water from hundreds of kilometers. This is all imported water. This water never belonged to their watershed. That water has been imported from other watersheds to their watershed or to their consumption, to their operations. The third tap is new water. Now, new water actually refers to municipal interface with industry or municipal interface with agriculture or our recycling, reuse, recovery systems. And the final tap, which they have said in their context, refers to desalination. So these are the 4 taps that actually the governments, this is Singapore model. Then you have models in Israel, you have models in Australia, you have models in different parts of the world who have come out with their own ways of looking at defining these new ways of diversifying the sources. The important aspect and a key takeaway in re-engineering world is you need to diversify your water sources, move away from groundwater use, move away, make your surface water use as efficient use you can. Rainwater harvesting, important part. Make your processes, make your operations more dependent on water that you can recycle, reuse, and recover. And I think this is exactly where a center of excellence of CII comes in. With the kind of a global reform that's happening, and also with regard to the changes in the systems that we have just discussed, the Water Institute basically has come out with its own tools and techniques that are bringing industry, governments, and communities a lot more closer to each other in terms of long-term, short-term, medium-term sustainabilities on water. And what Mr. Tyagarajan actually referred to, with regard to our WattScan tool, we have applied. WattScan is a digital tool. I will be very happy, as Mr. Tyagarajan mentioned, very happy to come out with a very focused presentation on WattScan to the Western region or to the Western states. I'm more than willing to do that. But in these 10 minutes offered to me, I will just mention to you, we have applied WattScan to various scales. Certainly Maharashtra is one state where WattScan has been applied to with the help of the Chief Minister, involving the local governments, district magistrates. We have taken WattScan to districts. We have taken WattScan to villages. And so very, very, very thankful to the membership of Maharashtra, where our own CII membership of Maharashtra has been, basically taking this forward certainly with the Center of Excellence and with the state government. to all compliments to the Western region, all compliments to the state of Maharashtra for this. We have also applied WattScan to smart cities. For example, in Rajasthan, we have applied it to Udaipur smart city. We have applied WattScan basically also to groundwater mapping now. So we have come out with new versions of WattScan, which can also, other than understanding the watersheds, other than understanding water availability, we can also do groundwater mapping, aquifer systems going hundreds of meters below the ground. What are they looking like? What is the structure of these aquifers? How much can they give? So this is something which we have again worked in Rajasthan on this. Then again we are looking at other than the smart cities, groundwater mapping, we have worked a lot with industry, in the Western region. The other area where we are working is water audits. Other than WattScan, water audits. Water audits have been made mandatory, as I referred to earlier. But more than that, water audits make a huge economic sense. Earlier, water was always considered as a free resource, not making economic sense, only investment. That philosophy is over. Water savings and water conservation make a huge economic sense. We have been working with a lot of industries, and we ourselves find a huge saving coming from water. Something as high as something close to 1 million rupees per day. In certain public sector undertakings, the savings have been reaching to 1 million rupees per day. That has been the kind of a return on investments and the kind of paybacks that we are looking at. Then, of course, we have a new tool. Very happy to come out, as Mr. Tyagarajan said, very happy to talk to you, water pinch analysis. The next generation water audit, which also not only looks at freshwater recovery systems, wastewater recovery systems, more importantly, salt. The salt is a major issue today that industry deals with. Where to dispose it, how much salt to deal with. So water pinch analysis is a next generation tool which actually brings in this new component of minimizing the salt at the end of pipe treatment methods. And of course, we are now moving ahead with a new system of certification systems, whereby we are looking at evolving a certification program with the government of India as well as internationally. With Singapore, we are looking at those ideas where we have a certification systems of providing these certificates of water neutrality or a blue rating certification system to industry for their operations. So this is something which I'm sharing with you a little in advance, and with your cooperation, and certainly with the way we are working with industry, our own membership, governments, we will be taking this mission forward and look forward to a lot of support and lot of guidances that as we have been receiving from you. Center of Excellence on Water, which is Water Triveni, CII Triveni Water Institute. We really look forward in taking solutions on the ground and in giving you the best kind of an advice in terms of making water sustainable. Thank you so much again, Sandeep ji, and thank you so much, Mr. Tyagarajan and the Western region for giving this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Narula, for sharing about the new technologies which the CII Institute, Triveni Institute of Water, is doing a tremendous work with the industry and with the government and in various parts of the country. And also defining the word re-engineering, which is so very important in the changing regime in hydrological patterns and climate change, which we are witnessing now. And thank you so much for taking out time. And definitely in Western region, we would definitely like to hear more about what CII Triveni Institute is going to do. Thank you. Now, may I invite Mr. Saurabh Sangla, Chairman, CII Madhya Pradesh, for vote of thanks and moderation of the next technical session, please. Saurabh, over to you.
Thank you, Sandeep ji, and a very good morning to everyone. I feel honored and privileged to get an opportunity to propose vote of thanks on today's occasion. Certainly, water is the new currency, and we cannot just let it go out of our hands. And as explained by so many speakers today, we have ample of water, and as India gets sufficient precipitation every year,
in every part of the country. If we use water wisely, we will never have any shortage, and water will be used properly as a resource. So I'm sure it has been an exciting and informative session for everyone present here. I'm also confident that the deliberations over the session will encourage and give a boost to our endeavor of water conservation and restoration at large. CI is closely monitoring the needs of the Indian industry and is committed to raise the competitiveness of Indian industry with adoption of best practices known across the world. I, on behalf of CI Madhya Pradesh, entire industry fraternity, and on my own behalf, convey deep regards and hearty thanks to Sri Malesh Srivastavji, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of MP, for sparing his time for today's conclave and sharing the roadmap and future initiatives of Government of Madhya Pradesh towards water management in the state. We have clearly seen today how actively Madhya Pradesh is spending money to actually save water and also use water wisely and take water to every single household. The efforts are commendable. My own company works very closely with the water department of Madhya Pradesh, and we have seen real impact at the ground levels. Also, I would like to thank Mr. Tyagarajan, Chairman CII Western Region, for his support in organizing today's conclave. His leadership, his vision, his drive in the Western region is a source of continuous inspiration, and his ideas on emphasizing on circular economy, sustainability, and also industry academia connect, emphasizing CIS important tools like WattScan um, were great knowledge to be shared with all the participants. I think WattScan is a great tool which every state, every district can use and make sure that the water resources are put um, to use properly. Also, I would like to thank Mr. Vipul Mathur, Managing Director and CEO of Wellspun Corp, and Mr. Anirban Ghosh, Chairman, CII Western Region Subcommittee on Environmental Sustainability, and Chief Sustainability Officer, Mahindra Group, Mr. Kapil Narula, for participating in today's conclave and sharing their knowledge and best practices, managing runoffs, use of recycled water, um, the steps taken by Wellspun and Mahindra Group are commendable and inspiring. I'm sure every organization at any level can learn from these and also understand the important highlight which they mentioned was there is no big capital investment needs to be done in order to be water positive, which in turn will make our environment sustainable, also make our companies more profitable at the end of the day. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Naulikar, for your time and your initiatives for this important conclave and the drive from Madhya Pradesh. Thank you so much. Now, taking today's agenda ahead, we can now move on to the next session of conclave, which is the technical session on emerging technologies and their interface for water management. Technology is expected to play a pivotal role in reinventing the water trajectory through re-engineering wastewater and increased conservation by enhancing efficiency in most water using sectors, particularly manufacturing. The session aims at showcasing opportunities in PPP mode on water management technologies, along with possible solution to industry issues regarding water management. The session also focuses on highlighting the government's efforts in water management and showcasing new innovations which can complement efforts of the government to transform the management of water and wastewater holistically. To deliberate on the same, may I invite Mr. Anand Raval, Managing Director Unicare Technologies Private Limited. Mr. Rawal, over to you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
You're audible.
Please.
Take it forward.
Rosanji.
Yes, yes.
Please place the video presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
We Unicare Technologies Private Limited takes this opportunity to introduce ourselves as one of the leading organizations in India, engaged with water treatment technologies since 2000. We are a team of young, qualified and experienced professionals. We are committed to serving our customers at our best efforts because a satisfied customer is our brand ambassador. Here, we would like to share our last 2 years' effort for innovation, technologies and work. Groundwater is utilizing for drinking, irrigation and industrial purposes, but deterioration of groundwater quality due to geogenic and anthropogenic activities is a serious concern. The use of such water could be hazardous. An increase in overall salinity of the groundwater, presence of high concentrations of fluoride, iron and arsenic is available in several states of India. So, Unicare Technologies Private Limited collaborated with Council of Scientific and Industrial Research CSIR. Central Mechanical Engineering Research Institute is a public engineering research and development institute in Durgapur. Bhabha Atomic Research Center Research Institute in Mumbai, Maharashtra. These esteemed institute has developed technology and transferred to us. And further, we developed it and set up water treatment plants. We use iron, fluoride and arsenic filter technology to set up plants to improve water quality. Bihar Har Ghar Nal Ka Jal Yojana, Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, Jharkhand, Jal Jeevan Mission and many states directly benefited. Our best project is Har Ghar Nal Ka Jal Yojana, Bihar Vikas Mission. This resolution is the best endeavor to provide clean drinking water to households through the concreted corporation of people of every village and locality in Bihar. Under this scheme, clean drinking water is supplying through pipelines to every home. ATM for safe drinking water, a water treatment plant with reverse osmosis system on a PPP basis. Public-private partnerships can be used to finance, build and operate such products, and it will increase the sustainability of the project. Benefit of such project: no capex required, no running and maintenance cost, no administration cost, no manpower allocation from public or government agency. So, we will produce a safe drinking water treatment plant, reverse osmosis system with ATM on a PPP basis. Only public places, hospital, dharmik sthal, railway station, bus station, hill station and picnic spot allowed to install RO plant. We require food and water in emergencies like flash floods, cyclones, avalanches, earthquakes, etc. So, Unicare Technologies Private Limited invented Unicare 700, a water treatment machine technology that can be useful during emergencies. Let's see how this machine works. We using muddy, nasty, polluted water like flood water, etc. It operates with a hand pump as electricity is not available during natural disasters. Life depends on water. Yet, 600 million people in India face high to extreme water crisis. water demand will double by 2030. So, with the gap between demand and supply, 67% of untreated domestic wastewater is still discharged in river water bodies, and in the ground, it is estimated that by 2050, 6% of India's GDP will be spent on water crisis. Water, energy and food security is the key challenge faced by India in decades, and all these are linked in another. When the well is drying, we know the work of water. We using treated wastewater will reduce the burden on fresh water resources and can also resolve sanitation and environmental issues. The decentralized treatment of wastewater is more useful in the Indian context, as there is a lack of sewage network in most part of the country. Presenting Unicare Japanese technology. Concept of treatment site. We use at the site the cosmetic water including grey and black water can be treated by Jokaso and reused for multiple purposes. This treated water can also be discharged into water bodies and land reversal as per environment standards. Jokaso is suitable for both urban and rural setup. It can be implemented in individual household, cluster of houses or entire communities. Thanks to its highly modular and scalable nature, Jokaso is very useful for hostels and restaurants, hospital, parks, offices, mall, airport, railway station, bus depot, petrol pump, industries, and many other private and public areas. The wastewater treated by Jokaso can be reused for several applications like horticulture, construction, toilets flushing, vehicle wash, firefighting, dust control, cooling tower makeup, industrial purpose, or reviving local water bodies. The Jokaso treats wastewater through advanced stages to ensure that the treated water meets the standards and it fits for reuse. The wastewater treated by Jokaso can be used for gardening purposes. This will help us to save the drinking water which is previously used for gardening. Here we are happy to say in the next month we set up these types of STPs in gardens. Unicare Technologies Private Limited also working in electrochlorination systems. Electrochlorination is the process of producing hypochlorite by passing an electric current through salt water. It disinfects water and makes it useful for humans and can be used for various other purposes. Advantages: on-site generation of chlorine, no deterioration of chlorine due to storage, easy to operate and maintain, no other raw material other than salt required. Economical solution. Unicare Technologies Private Limited has bounded with well-knowledge technicians and professionals with in-house research and development team. We serve our customers on 24/7 basis. Our products are as follows: reverse osmosis system, RO plants, water treatment plants, iron, arsenic, fluoride removal, industrial softeners, swimming pool filtration systems, water purification systems, effluent water treatment plants, STP and ETP plants, demineralization plants, mineral water project, water ATMs and vending machines. We also offer turnkey projects. We, Unicare Technologies Private Limited, always think the secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fixing the old, but on building the new. Thanks for watching this video, and so we are grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you for the CII giving us this opportunity, and I will thank to the dignitaries on the dice and off the dice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful presentation of Unique Care.
Yes.
So while taking this program forward, may I request CII IT cell to play the video for our sponsors so we can actually thank them by doing so.
A multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. A leading line pipe manufacturer. Amongst the top 3 global home textile companies. An emerging infrastructure and oil and gas player. What's next for an organization that has it all?
It's taken a lot of dedication and effort to reach where we are today.
The Wellspun story of the future will be about the journey of a successful conglomerate, becoming a global institution, an organization that is relevant, sustainable, and brings inclusive growth to all stakeholders.
We have embarked on a new journey, a journey we call Wellspun 2.0.
We want to be known as a very, very responsible business group where, we are contributing back to the society. We are helping build the nation. We are helping the world to be a better place to live in.
This new wave of change promises to transform every aspect of Wellspun.
We will create a long-term sustainable wealth for all the stakeholders.
An employee at Welspun can really look forward to steep learning, good camaraderie, fun, a modern and a vibrant workplace, and considerable amount of capabilities that will be added on to him.
The Wellspun Group is a collective strength of its 3 businesses and the 26,000 plus employees that drive them. It is a symbol of growth of the diverse communities it serves through its extensive corporate social value efforts. Each business of the Wellspun Group has emerged at the top after a very inspiring journey, and the businesses are geared to achieve Wellspun's vision through its redefined philosophy of leading tomorrow together. Wellspun Corp Limited is the flagship company of the Wellspun Group, a company that has the distinction of supplying to the most critical pipelines in the world. It prides itself in being a globally local player with plants across 3 continents, serving most of the Fortune 100 oil and gas majors, with unmatched expertise, a wide range of products and services, a strong technology backbone.
Our focus going forward will be higher capacity utilizations of all our global manufacturing facilities and provide customer delight.
Wellspun India Limited is amongst the world's largest home textile companies with a distribution network in over 50 countries. It has been ranked as the highest exporter to the USA consistently, where every 5th towel sold is manufactured by the company. Wellspun supplies to 17 of the top 30 global retailers and is a partner of choice to leading institutional businesses and hospitality majors. A true agent of change to delight the new age consumer.
We will be focusing on customer centricity. And when you talk about a customer, it's not just about the B2B, but also the B2C. The world is evolving where online and the offline will have to work together. Innovation from the customer perspective is very, very important. And that's going to be the key driver for our growth.
Expanding beyond bed and bath, Wellspun has forayed into the flooring space with Wellspun Floorings, which has started operations in a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility spread over 100 acres. The company is set to disrupt the flooring space with products that will enable consumers to replace their floorings at a fraction of the cost and time as compared to popular traditional products.
Wellspun Flooring will disrupt flooring industry as we know it in this country. We would be able to provide you flooring solution in less than a day. And that's what we are all about. Entire product range, entire designing, entire service is being planned and designed in a way to deliver that experience, wonderful experience of doing your flooring in less than a day.
The emerging infrastructure and oil and gas businesses of the group, Wellspun Enterprises, has established its potential with successful projects in infrastructure. Wellspun Enterprises is the first company to win the contract for the Package 1 of the Delhi-Meerut Expressway.
Wellspun Enterprise.
Ankur? Ankur, should I take it forward? Okay.
Yes, sir, please.
Sure. Okay. Thank you for playing this video. So we certainly understood from Mr. Rawal's presentation today that water can be recycled, can be treated so well that it will be a complete re-engineering of the state of the water, and it can be put to reuse again and again, as the speakers from the first session mentioned that it can be recycled infinite times. So thank you for this valuable presentation, Mr. Rawal. Now I would like to invite Mr. P.K. Jain, Regional Director, Central Groundwater Authority, for his presentation, please. Over to you, Mr. Jain.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, very much.
Just 1 minute, I'll share my presentation.
Sure, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I am P.K. Jain. I am Regional Director, Central Groundwater Authority. This is Department of Water Resources, RDNGR, Ministry of Jal Shakti. So we were discussing regarding water, and first of all, I would like to thank CII for organizing this water conclave. Earlier, Mr. Anirban Ghosh and Kapil Narula, they discussed about certain provisions. First of all, I would like to introduce regarding this Central Groundwater Authority. The Central Groundwater Authority was constituted on the directions of Honorable Supreme Court. The powers and functions of authority are exercise powers under Section 5 of Environmental Protection Act to resort to penal provisions contained in Section 15 to 21, regulate and control management and development of groundwater in the country, and to issue necessary regulatory directions for the purpose. And then exercise of powers under Section 4 of Environmental Protection Act. These are certain things. Now, as Mr. Narula has pointed out regarding Gazette notification of 2020. This Gazette notification of 2020 is regarding new guidelines of Central Groundwater Authority. These guidelines, which were published in the Gazette of India, they were notified in the Gazette of India by number given in this screen on 24th September 2020 for obtaining renewal of no objection certificate to regulate and control groundwater extraction in the country. And these guidelines supersedes all the previous guidelines. These guidelines will come into force with immediate effect from the date of notification. These guidelines have pan-India applicability. So the groundwater abstraction in all the states, except those states which have their own regulations, they shall be regulated by Central Groundwater. Now, what for the guidelines are? As I said, these guidelines are for groundwater abstraction by industries, all industrial users, new, then mining, infrastructure. Those are new or seeking expansion. For renewal, they require to seek no objection certificate from CGWA or from the state authority if it exists. Some of the states, they have come out with their own guidelines, and here it is there. Wherever states or union territories has come out with their own groundwater abstraction guidelines, if they are inconsistent with the CGWA guidelines, the provision of CGWA guidelines will prevail. So these are the 16 states which have their own groundwater authority, state groundwater authority, and they are regulating groundwater abstraction in the states. In Madhya Pradesh, we don't have this state groundwater authority. We have already circulated model groundwater bill to the state government long back, but the state has not yet constituted the authority. Once the authority is constituted in the state of Madhya Pradesh, the groundwater abstraction will be regulated by state groundwater authority, not by Central Groundwater Authority. Like these 16 states or union territories, they are regulating their groundwater. In these guidelines, there are certain exemptions. Like individual domestic consumers in both rural and urban areas for drinking water and domestic usage, they are exempted from obtaining NOC. Then rural drinking water supply schemes, they are exempted from obtaining NOC. Armed forces establishment and central armed police forces establishment in both rural and urban areas, agricultural activities, and micro and small enterprises. This is important thing. Micro and small enterprises drawing groundwater less than 10 KLD. Now here the thing is they have to apply and they'll get exemption certificate. Micro and small enterprises, once they apply, they'll get exemption letter that you are exempted. As I said, for groundwater withdrawal, NOC is required. For drinking and domestic use, for residential apartment, group housing societies in urban areas, NOC is required for new or existing wells. As Mr. Darula said, and Anirban Ghoshji said, here when we issue NOC, we see that if the groundwater withdrawal is more than 20 KL, then STP is installed and recycled water is used for toilet flushing, car washing, or gardening, etc. Very few documents are required here, because I am giving just an overview. So, for example, for industrial usage, I'll say that in Madhya Pradesh, about 500 industries have applied for NOC, whereas we have got large number of industries. I would like to request through this forum that industries shall apply for NOC. There are only few documents required for the NOC. One is like documents, non-availability certificate. Then is CTE or CTO, and the chemical quality, groundwater quality of the existing wells. Impact assessment report, if the groundwater withdrawal is more than 100 KL per day. Then if it is in wetland area, approval from wetland. That's all. Not much documents are not required now. At the time of renewal, audit report is required. So very few documents are required. These are the, however, in overexploited areas, NOC for new industries is not. In mining project, there is no ban for NOC in any area. What is overexploited? I would like to explain that Central Groundwater Board and State Groundwater Board, we assess groundwater sources. And we have categorized all the assessment units. In Madhya Pradesh, there are 317 assessment units. All the blocks are considered as unit. And then 4 cities are also considered as units. So out of these 317 units, 26 units or areas are overexploited. And most of the areas are in Malwa area. 8 areas are critical areas, 50 areas are semi-critical areas. So in overexploited areas, like I said, in industrial use, in overexploited area for new industry and for expense of industry, if the groundwater demand is increasing, NOC will not be granted. Existing industries, if they are there, NOC will be granted. If it is a MSME unit, NOC will be granted in overexploited areas also. In mining areas, there is no ban. NOC will be granted to all the units. In infrastructure units, as said by Anirban Ghosh and Kapil Darula, what we consider, if it is for construction purposes, we seek a certificate that non-availability of treated seepage water for construction within 10-kilometer radius of the site in critical and overexploited areas. So this is regarding construction. For other purposes, we need only few certificates. One is non-availability, that water is not available. Because what we consider, if water is available from any other source, like water supply from government bodies or any other source, if water is available, then we do not consider it fit for issuance of NOC. If non-availability certificate is not there and the requirement is less than 10 KL per day, only an affidavit is required. Likewise, if the water requirement is more than 20 KL per day in infrastructure projects, STP is to be installed, and water requirement is to be considered for drinking purposes as per NBC norms, and for green belt, it has to be as per norms. And then if it is in wetland area, then approval from wetland authority is required. For mining purposes, what we ask is utilization, gainful utilization of dewatering water and mining approval of approved mining plan. These are only few documents which are required now. This forum, I'll again use that all the industries, infrastructure projects, and mining projects, they should apply for NOC. Here I would like to point out that only 922 units, 502 industrial projects, 215 mining projects, and 205 infrastructure projects has applied for NOC from Central Groundwater Authority so far. There are certain other issues in this guidelines. The registration of drilling rig should be carried out, should be done in the state. Bulk tanker supply, they should get NOC. And if the saline groundwater is being used, then it is encouraged. Because if it is saline, in MP there is no such area, but in other states there are saline areas where we encourage use of saline water. This is a checklist where we can see that in safe, semi-critical and critical areas, for all type of industry, NOC is granted. Only in overexploited areas, where the groundwater development is very high, few industries are not granted permission, like water park, theme park, and amusement park in overexploited areas. Then new industries and expansion in overexploited areas. Packaged drinking water industry, new and expansion in overexploited areas. They are not granted NOC. In overexploited areas also, MSMEs are granted NOC. Now, when we grant NOC, we charge certain abstraction charges and groundwater restoration charge. The groundwater extraction charge depends on the quantum of water which is being withdrawn and also the area. If it is safe, the abstraction charges are different. If it is semi-critical, the abstraction charges are different. If it is critical, the abstraction charges are different. If it is overexploited, then we charge groundwater restoration charges. Then if there is illegal groundwater withdrawal without NAC, without a valid NOC, and user extracting groundwater for commercial activity without a valid NOC, to be considered illegal and liable to pay environmental compensation. And likewise, there is penalty also for non-compliance of NOC conditions. In case of renewal, no objection certificate will be renewed periodically. Applicant has to apply. Application for renewal of no objection certificate shall be accompanied by compliance report. Only compliance report is required. Whatever NOC is issued, certain conditions are there. Those conditions, the compliance report along with the application, it should be submitted. The NOC will be renewed. And there is monitoring and compliance monitor compliance monitoring mechanism, and then delegation of powers also. Technical officers of CGWB, CGWA, and state groundwater organization are authorized to take action and periodic inspection. District magistrate, district collector, subdivisional magistrate of each revenue district are authorized officers who have been delegated the power imposition of environmental compositions, seal illegal wells, disconnect electricity supply, launch prosecution against offenders, grievance redemption related to groundwater in their respective jurisdictions. So I would again request through this organization, through you, that all the industries, illegal extraction, there are many industries. We all know there are thousands of industries, and only about 100, less than 100 altogether industry, infrastructure, mining, they have applied for NOC. So this, everybody should apply for NOC. There are very few documents are required now, and it is all online system. They have to apply online. Through our website, they have to register. After registration, they can apply online. NOC will be generated. This groundwater abstraction charges, whatever are there, depending upon the groundwater requirement and category of the assessment unit, they will be charged, they will be issued NOC. Again, I request through you to all the industrialists, everybody to apply for NOC. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for letting all of us know about the various guidelines and also the documentation required. I think this is very important that the industry understands this and fulfills this document on timely manner for renewal purposes also. So I think this presentation was very, very useful and very, very apt for today's conclave, sir. Thank you so much for taking this.
Sir, may I request you to please propagate this thing to all your members and everybody so that they apply, because as we see, very few applications are there. And what is the problem if we know that why they are not applying, then we can also pursue the thing. But I think this is the best forum to request everybody to apply for.
Certainly, certainly, sir. We will definitely take it forward in Madhya Pradesh and also at Western India level. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
May I now invite Shri Tejasvi Naik ji, Managing Director, Madhya Pradesh Jal Nigam, for his presentation, please. Mr. Naik is a 2009 batch IAS officer of Madhya Pradesh cadre and is currently serving as the Managing Director of Madhya Pradesh Jal Nigam. Prior to this, he has held several important positions in Department of Finance, district administrations in Betul, Bhopal, Barwani, and Hoshangabad districts of Madhya Pradesh. His current responsibilities include providing safe and sustainable tap drinking water to communities and raw water to industries by utilizing surface water resources and to provide sustainable treatment and disposal of sewage. We have also heard from Shri Malay Srivastavji about the huge projects that Shri Nayak is implementing at a war scale level. So it is our delight to have you, sir. May I now request you to please address us. Sir, Ankur, can you check if Mr. Tejasvi Nayak ji is having any issues
Sir, he's facing some issue and probably he can resume back. May I request maybe we can go for the next speaker, sir.
Sure, sure. All right. So may I now invite Mr. Anirudh Shapureji, Chief Knowledge Officer, Pune Smart City, for his presentation, please. Mr. Shapure is an electrical and electronics engineer and an MBA, along with being a senior member of IEEE, Chartered Engineer and Certified Industry 4.0 Professional. For more than 2 decades, he has been affiliated to multinationals like Schneider Electric, Mitsubishi, and Omron. An excellent administrator, technologist, and implementer, he has governed and executed multi-million-dollar projects in the industrial automation and IT sectors across Europe, Asia, and African countries. We are delighted to have you today, sir. Now over to you for your presentation. Mr. Shapure, please.
Thank you very much, Saurabh, and greeting to all the dais. I was listening to all the participants and the dignitaries who has, it's a very appreciative effort from CII having this water conclave, because it has been said that the next world war will happen on water. So we have to be very proactive in the terms of conserving it. This is something which I always promote, is we have to be resilient by choice, not by force. So we do have some time to get the things done. So it is better that we actually act as soon as possible and follow the techniques. Not taking much of time, I will share my presentation representing. Thank you, CII, for inviting us as in Pune Smart City, where we are actually having our efforts to educate, to implement some of the techniques and for the conservation of the water. Hope all can see my presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Pune Smart City is the one of the first 20 smart cities from India. So and then we stood the first in allotting and carrying out the smart city mission. The area that is called ADB. So every smart city has been given an area to develop, and we have Aun Baner Balewadi. So it comes as an ABB area, about consolidating into an 13 square kilometers of area where we can actually have the pilots done for being towards the smart. The implementation of the different kinds of citizen-centric projects, which we can actually put up into this particular area and then can be expanded into Pan City. There are Pan City programs which are like monitoring the ICCC, the Command Control Center. However, right now I'm not talking about that particular one, because we are concentrating on water, and there is lot much of efforts are being put up by Smart City in that terms. So I'm glad to actually present this and proud that we have got second place in ease of living as in Pune. So you're all welcome and to stay in Pune. The Pune Municipal Corporation has found as planned for all these 17 SDG goals. So obviously you can see about three blue colors here. So absolutely that relates to water. So water conservation and life below the water, and on the land. So those ones are basically the main issues are sustainable development goals, which are being adopted by Pune city, and we are committed to this. So Pune city is 525 square kilometers of area and 4.1 million population. You can check it out. The water put into transmission and distribution, it's 500,000 mlds, and about 1.5, that is about 33% of it is in the water loss. So we have to act such a community where we are thinking that the water is now next to be served. So and then it is a life. So we are you can see the numbers where we have to act upon. So in these initiatives, the Pune Smart City has many implemented uh, uh, implemented projects, and also the awareness campaigns which are going on in Pune Smart City. So the first one I wanted to mention is the district meter areas. So this is a 24/7 water supply to the citizens of Pune. So here the basic hydraulic modeling has been done for this for the entire Pune city. Smart interventions like WTPs, SRs, transmission distribution systems, and SCADA systems has been for the operating and controlling of this whole total water distribution system has been done. Established is these specific 24/7 water project is adopted by Pune Municipal Corporation. However, in Aund Baner Balewadi area, Pune Smart City is responsible for to carry out those. So we are contributing in laying the pipelines, the sensors, the water meters, the smart water meters, the cloud-based SCADA systems. Those are being implemented, and now the target is to uh, increase the water supply from 90 to 120 liters per capita a day to 150. So this is how it will be, and then we are talking about the zero waste. So it has to be reduced to a zero. So now in particularly in Pune Aun Baner Balewadi area, we have about 30 and 45 MLD STPs, which actually comprises to 744 MLD water every day is being reused from the sewage treatment plants. So this is a considerable achievement which we have to actually, and then these are the ones. This water is being reused for watering the plants, watering the gardens, keeping the areas and the clean. I mean, for the cleaning of the areas. So again, that one is a positive point. For awareness, I mean, basically education is the one which going to create a better drive in the community. So we have this community awareness drive where we have actually got the areas, identified areas where we preach the community or the citizens for about the how you can encourage how can you learn the sustainability with the water and water conservation. So water journey is been presented in this particular area. You can see this is in a process of development, that about 95% of the work is going, and then it will be open for the citizens soon. So about we have explained this 24/7 scheme into this. A prototype is being developed there. The water journey from source to user, how it happens, the WTPs, the STPs, how it is been treated, how it is come to the user, and the rainwater harvesting and recycling and reuse techniques is being presented there. So there will be an awareness campaign. People will be able to see it actually working, and then they can actually encourage this one to put it up in their communities and their societies, and so on and so forth all. Here we have actually the another one which is just adjacent to this particular one. We are encouraging the farming. So the right use of water to grow the plants, the trees, and then the fruits and vegetables. So the tree plantation has various types of crops like and crops of like mango, chiku, papaya, guava, then flower beds and farming. This has been this has been taught here. So it's about 1,700 square meter area where all the utility conservation, the sustainability techniques is also been taught here. So it's not only the water but then the electricity. So we have put the solar panels, the LEDs. Similarly, the water storage tank of 20,000 liters has been put, and all this happens with this 20,000 liter of tank. So all the farming and all, we have the drip irrigation, which can be explained to the people how they can actually grow the plants and use the water use the water to actually have their crops done. And so these are some pictures which been taken, and the plants grown. Now thinking of a bigger picture where the industry and society can come up in for the water utilization. So Pune Smart City has collaborated with ESL and APWA, where we are actually building a task force for district cooling. So district cooling is another way of use of water where we can actually use this one for multiple purposes. And then here we are incorporating district cooling in the SEZ areas, the townships, where the less water will be used and more effectively it will be used for the refrigeration. There is another drive which Pune Smart City will be involved in, Pune Municipal Corporation's drive of riverfront development. So obviously that will create the hold the river banks, and then the seepage of waters or wastage of water, rather we will require the seepage of waters. Obviously those will be the floodplains and areas will be maintained. Those ones will be secured. So less calamities on the terms of the utilization of the water will be there. So water hyacinth cleaning and then composting is being drive, which is taken by citizens with Pune Smart City, which have been going on. We have about one or two events happens in every a month, and citizens itself they drive. We always be the part of it, and then we encourage them to keep on doing such kind of things. The water saving area, the campaigns which basically we talk about. So we have the street shows. Children are being involved into that. This is a union government's led program of Jal Shakti Abhiyan. So we are also part of that. So awareness campaign has been taken care of, and the tree plantation has been done. The street shows, obviously how we can actually save the drops of water, which been explained. The water saving areas, again, and then those campaigns, we actually tell them and show them about the low flow fixtures which we can actually use to save the waters. How about you can actually relate it to basic uses. So about 20% of water can be saved with using the low flow fixtures. You can see the picture on the right side. So how we can have these simple techniques can be used in this and in day-to-day life, and then save water. Best practices, all the government of Maharashtra has been doing, like farm pond and management of industrial water. So again, these are the ones which are being implemented in Maharashtra. Subsequently in where the scarcity of water is there, So even we are helping in going out there and have the zero effluent plants to be put up. Also, the techniques, the advanced techniques which have been adopted, we are encouraging them to use those in the industrial use. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to present this. I would be happy to take any questions because I think we have overshooted the time. So I have got this one as a quickly. Thank you very much for inviting CII, and all the best for all the citizens who are into this water conservation. Thank you.
Thank you, Anirudhji. It was certainly a great presentation, true use of the PPP model, and how you are encouraging everyone in the Pune district to be a part of it. I think this story needs to be wide spoken so that other smart cities can also adapt a lot of good work that you have already done and adapt all the successful models. So at least we can go ahead with few steps forward in this pursuit of the nation. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, please, we can have one or two questions quickly. I think, sir, due to paucity of time, I don't see a question right now. But thank you so much for joining us today, and we will work together in future as CII endeavors to continue the path of sustainability and water conservation. Thank you so much again. Now, may I invite Mr. Tejasri Joshi, Chairman, CII Western Region, Water Subgroup and Assistant General Manager, Godrej and Boyce Manufacturing Company Limited, for moderating the next session. Mr. Joshi.
So thank you, Mr. Sangla, and it's Ms. Joshi. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, so good afternoon, everybody, and it's my pleasure to host our final session today, the technical session 2, which would give you a perspective on the industry best practices sharing in the field of water management. And to start this session, it is my firm belief that the respect for water is core to preserving life, ecosystem, and communities, which lead to prosperity traditionally and culturally both. In India, water has been revered and worshipped and respected. For example, my organization, Godrej and Boyce, for us, water has always been at the core of our environmental sustainability strategy. With the first water recycling plant that we set up in 1985 at our headquarters in Vikhroli in Mumbai, Godrej and Boyce has been amongst the early believers that wastewater is as important source of water as surface water or groundwater. So across all our locations in the company, we have been able to offset 40% of our water use by recycling of our water. Over the last decade, under our sustainability strategy of good and green, the organization has been able to recycle more than 6 million cubic meter of water, a quantity that was equivalently suffice the cumulative need of more than 45 million people. At the same time, harvesting or replenishing rainwater that would equal the need of more than 38.5 million people. So that's an impact even a single industry can have. So like most of the leading corporations or organizations in the industry who work extensively on water conservation, the approach has been an integrated one by first determining the impact of the needs of the operations with respect to both quality and quantity, identifying the availability and the carrying capacity of the available sources, impact assessments of the aquifers for taking informed decisions in terms of technologies to be used, evaluating the possible avenues for substituting the use of recycled water, used by recycled water rather, and implementing water efficient processes, technologies, and fixtures by which over the last decade, for example, we have been able to achieve an efficiency in the use of water over 50%. And I'm sure most of our industry colleagues who have taken water as a core area of sustainability have been able to do as much or even more. This actually leads us to the session very well. And what we want to today share through this session is that what are these techniques and technologies which are available today in the field of water management and treatment, which are the need of the hour. As we see the quality and quantity of wastewater generated changes, as the quality of pollutants that get into the environment changes, we need to re-engineer our systems and re-engineer our processes to gear up to handle these kind of challenges. And who other than the industry would take up the challenge? So I'm very pleased to have a great panel today who would discuss today with you on various technologies that we have on managing both the quality of potable water, which is very essential for our communities, and the quality of wastewater that we discharge out into our ecosystems. So without further taking time on this, I would just like to request all my panelists that we please stick to the time that have been given to us of about 10 minutes, because we have already started the session a bit late. And to begin the panel today, I would like to invite Dr. Avinash Kulkarni, Founder Director, Arclight Specialty Lamps Private Limited. Dr. Kulkarni, if you can put up your presentation, or if you can start your presentation.
Okay. Yeah. Is it visible? Good afternoon. This is Kagal. Is it visible? Good afternoon. This is Dr. Avinash Kulkarni. I'm chairman of Arclight Specialty Lamps Limited. We'll first begin with basics of UV technology. And camera is not working.
The camera is not working.
Yeah, we first begin with the introduction to UV. Electromagnetic spectrum, as we know, is 23 order of magnitude, in which the visible portion is really very, very tiny, from 400 nanometer to 780 nanometer. Anything shorter than 400 nanometer and up to 100 nanometer is the ultraviolet. This ultraviolet is divided in three parts: UVA, which is abundant in sunlight, UVB, and we are most concerned about UVC. It is this wavelength range between 200 to 280 nanometer, which is very effective, has got very effective germicidal properties. And the UV lamps, which we manufacture, emit at 254 nanometer, which is the resonance line of mercury. We manufacture all three types of lamps: regular, high output, and amalgam. They are all made from the quartz. Regular lamps are like 1 watt per inch, like our tube light, lighting tube light, and high output lamps are like 2 watt per inch, and amalgam could be 4 to 5 times that. Now there's quite a bit of similarity between a UV lamp and a fluorescent lamp. If you remove the phosphor from the fluorescent lamp and make the glass UV transmitting, you will have UV lamp. Now the UV lamps are made of either of soft glass, or they are made of parts. We manufacture UV lamp only out of quartz glass. Soft glass is also used for manufacturing UV, but soft glass cannot be used for manufacturing high output lamp. It cannot be used at all for making amalgam lamps. Quartz glass UV lamp, a premium lamp. It is a UV. Quartz has a much higher UV transmission, It is less affected by temperature. Unfortunately, making quartz lamp is not so easy. It softens at 2000 degrees centigrade as compared to 700 degrees centigrade for soft glass. So soft glass can be made in high production machines which can produce several thousand lamps per hour, but quartz glass takes a lot of effort, and that's why it is more premium, but it is worth it. It lasts longer, it doesn't solarize. That means it has much better UV maintenance. And that is the reason why quartz glass have become standard for industrial and commercial applications. For a domestic application, like fortunately for Indians, UV treatment of water has been known for more than 30 years. There has been AquaGuard in every other house. And so where the soft glass UV lamps, where the which is not such a demanding application because you are treating only couple of liters per minute. But when you are talking about treating in MLDs, million liters per day, you need UV source which are reliable, which will last longer, and which has got the highest possible efficiency. The germicidal UV technology, as I said, that between 200 to 280 nanometer, there is a peak at 265 nanometer, and the lamp, mercury lamp, which are commonly used for this application, they emit at 254 nanometer, which as I said, is a resonance line of mercury, and it is about 80% as efficient as the peak value at 265. So it's quite efficient, and the conversion in rate of electricity into UV in quartz lamp is between 30 and 40%. You compare this to 1.5% for UV LEDs, UVC LEDs. So we are talking about much higher efficiency, and where massive amount of UV is required, like in air processing or water processing, the quartz UV lamp has become standard in the industry. Now, how does UV radiation work? UV, any microbe has got a sheath, and the UV first breaks the sheath, and then hits the DNA, and it breaks the bonds of DNA. And once the bonds of DNA are broken, they cannot multiply. And this is the mechanism of UV breaking the UV for destroying the microbes. Now, in this case, in the case of viruses, there is no sheath like microbe, and so in a way, microbe is virus is a naked element, but it is so tiny, so that's why it is not so easy to catch hold of it, and so that's why. But technically, virus doesn't have a sheath, and so it is more vulnerable. What are the applications? Wastewater treatment. I am going to be focusing more on wastewater treatment in my today's talk. There is a drinking water. Fortunately, we have been one of the pioneers in drinking water in India, UV disinfection of drinking water in India. Then food and beverages, pharmaceutical and cosmetics, brewery, dairy, poultry and fish farming, spa and swimming pool. In all these areas, UV treatment of water is very important. Now, if you take sewage, then the very primary stage involves removing solids, oils, etc., separating them physically. Then the second stage is where your COD and BOD are adjusted by airing, by blowing air through them, so that COD, BOD level come down to the level, acceptable level. Then there's a tertiary treatment where there's a media filtration, active carbon filtration, and the last what we are proposing is UV disinfection. Now this is where most of the India we are doing chlorination, which I'll talk about it, that how chlorination is distinctly inferior technology compared to UV disinfection. Because first of all, when chlorine doesn't support life, And if you are going to take wastewater, chlorinate it, and put it in the river, you are not helping the fish. You are not helping the vegetation. And so, if you do UV disinfection, then all the germs are gone. And now we are aware of in Europe as well as in America, you see plenty of fish in the river. And so, if you chlorinate it, it will not help. But UV disinfection is very common in the Western countries. Now, let us just look at briefly look at the chlorine disinfection and its disadvantages. Chlorine use has been linked to cancer and birth defects in humans. It's bad taste and odor. It also causes irritation if it is in swimming pool. Chlorine has been found to be ineffective in killing certain microbes. For example, the one which causes hepatitis. Chlorine cannot kill that. Large contact tanks are required because chlorination requires minimum 30 minutes. And if you have 100 MLD plant, 30 minutes of reaction time will need 100,000 square feet space, even if you take 2-meter height of the water column. So when you are talking about cost of chlorination, you should take the cost of land also into account. And if you take the cost of land into account, you will find UV treatment is far, far cheaper. If you are putting this such a apparatus in boom docks where the cost of land is nothing, but all we are talking about is treatment or recycling of the city waste and and so if we can save the cost of land, it is a significant contribution. Another dangerous aspect of chlorine is a potential leakage. And I'm aware of certain plants in which they stop chlorination in the night time with the fear that the chlorine may leak and it will lead to some serious problem. So in UV, there is nothing like this. Now let us look at the advantages of UV treatment over chlorination. No influence on taste and smell, no addition of toxic chemicals, it is environmentally safe, no residual effect, very minimal footprint as compared to chlorination. The contact with the UV is disinfection is almost instantaneous. Effective against chlorine-resistant pathogens like hepatitis, as mentioned earlier. And I would just like to add, our first installation for drinking water has been in Shimla Jal Board, where they had a serious problem with hepatitis. And we have installed plants there where the chlorination, where the hepatitis issue has been resolved. Low maintenance and low operating cost for UV system. Simple construction and easy to operate as compared to chlorination, because there's always a danger that something may go wrong and may be a catastrophic mistake. Here is a very general picture given about the installation cost and maintenance cost of UV versus chlorination. All I want to, first of all, this cost does not take into account the cost of land. So even if you ignore that, yes, chlorination is cheaper to install if you don't consider the cost of land. But even with this high installation, high initial cost, after 4 years, the maintenance cost is so much lower with UV that it is more economical. And so let's go to the next, the process water. Industry requires many processes, clean, disinfected water, which is recycled and reused. Production process in cosmetic, chemistry, automobile industries, production process in food and beverage industry, rinsing and cleaning processes in the semiconductor industry. All this water is recycled with UV disinfection.
Dr. Kulkarni, apologies, could we have a wrap up in another minute, please?
Okay, then I'll skip some of this. Okay, this is the 4 units which we have installed in Shimla. These are 250 cubic meter per hour, and they have been used for for drinking water. For drinking water, and you can see there are, each one of them has got 12 what you call amalgam lamp, which we manufacture in our factory in Chakan, and these are capable of handling 1000 cubic meter per hour or 24 MLD. So this is a wastewater system. There's another alternative. You don't have to go to a closed system like what I shown you in what we installed in Shimla. You can have a what you call open channel system. Say something like 2 meter by 2 meter channel you have. You install a bank of very high wattage, powerful UV lamps, few hundreds of them, and then run water through this channel, and you will have disinfected water coming at the end. And this is the right system. This is the right system for the wastewater treatment. It's called open channel system. Just to in conclusion, we have UV technology for water treatment. It's almost a must for wastewater. It is desirable for wet drinking water because it can take care of all the microbes, including for yellow fever, for hepatitis. And UV technology is now available locally. All these lamps, ballast, this technology is available locally. So costs have come down significantly. I think it's worthwhile for every city, every business to take a second look at UV technology. And we have been pioneer in this technology. We have been making UV lamps for the last 15 years. And we are still the only manufacturer of UV lamps in India. And I may add that we have done some 70 underground metro stations, which are like 200-meter long and massive installation. We've done 20 airports. So UV technology is available in India, and it has been used extensively. And we are very proud to say that we are pioneer in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kulkarni. Just a quick question, if I may. One of the factors that many people choose chlorination over UV systems for disinfection is, the fact that there is a residual chlorine after treatment, which really allows the water to remain disinfected for over a period of time. Could you throw some light on, despite of this, why UV technology should be a more adaptable one? Obviously, we have seen, the facts that you have presented in terms of the pros and cons of both the systems. But as an expert, if you can just highlight this one factor which largely drives people, other than the cost, which drives people to adopt chlorination.
In fact, I should have mentioned it during my talk. Sorry. I think it's an excellent question. I'm thankful to you for raising it. Residual chlorine of about half ppm is a must because it prevents reinfection of water. And so, for example, if you are going to throw this water into river, you don't have to have chlorine in that. But for drinking water, yes, you have to have half ppm of chlorine. But anything higher, if you are going to use UV for chlorine for destruction of microbes, then you use a lot of chlorine, and it creates a lot of complicated compounds which create a lot of health issues. So it is better to disinfect with UV and add a dab of chlorine for retaining its. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Just a supplementary one. What is the normal life of the UV bulbs or the UV, lights? And what is the
10,000 hours, 12,000 hours, 10 to 12,000 hours. So you can just imagine for 24/7 operation, one lamp will last for more than a year.
Yes.
But if you use it less frequently, it could be less. It could be longer.
Right. Thank you. If there's anything more you want to add, if you have missed out, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, there are several projects coming in the city of Pune, and actually this UV is a very upcoming, and everyone's talking about it, but everyone's a little hesitant because there are still very few installations in operation in India. In Maharashtra, I don't think there is any. And I think in Namomi Gange, they have done some work in this area, and there are a couple of installations done by foreigners, and they are of course much more expensive. I think it's a very we have come to a stage where all should take a serious look at this, and we will be very glad to work with them. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think it is very important that today when we choose a technology, it is the efficiency of the technology in terms of the resource it uses also play a very important part in the decision making of adoption of the technology. And the other important aspect that we need to consider is how safe it is for our ecology and environment. And I think the system that you presented, actually covers both of these aspects. And so I'm sure we would see more uptake of this as there is more education on the technology. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you, sir. Moving ahead in our panel today, I would now like to request Dr. Shankar Chakma, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering, Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, to make his presentation. Dr. Chakma, please.
Thank you, Ms. Josie, for introducing. So let me just share the screen. So I'll be sharing the whole screen. That might be. Oh, so is it visible?
Yes, it is. If you could just put it on the presentation mode, please.
Yeah. Thank you. Water Conclave.
So just a request, if you could stick to around 10 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I hope so. Before that, I'll be completing it. Okay. So, yeah. So I'll be just going directly to the process, what we are working on this for the water research at IISER Bhopal. So today I'll be covering the synthesis of multidimensional nanoparticles for development of the sustainable environment. And so before going to this, most of you may like to visit IISER Bhopal. So this is our campus. So IISER Bhopal campus, and this is the aerial view. So if you have sometimes you are most welcome to visit the campus. And okay, so coming to the to the synthesis of the nanoparticles or amphoteric copper nanoparticles using that this plant extracts. So for pharmaceutical wastewater treatment. Now, we have synthesized the nanoparticles of copper, zero-valent copper nanoparticle. This here you can see that copper from the copper acetate as this precursor. When we add this extract, plant extract, and that's this copper acetate, this solution. So we mixed with them with and sonicate for this 15 minutes. Then within the 30 minutes, we get the precipitation, which is basically this zero-valent copper nanoparticles. Here, so within here from these results, we can confirm this at approximately 570 nanometer. That's a characteristic wavelength of the copper nanoparticles. So just for the confirmation, we have done that's XRD. So that will confirm that the synthesis or this confirmation give the confirmation of the nanoparticles as formation. So here that's the PET synthesis and the surface area and the pore size distribution, and this indicates that the particles are in the mesoporous structure, and with this when we apply that sonication, or we can normally say the sonochemical synthesis. So this is actually gives that more pure copper zero-valent copper nanoparticles instead of that's when we synthesis using the conventional methods. So these are the the mechanism how this copper zero-valent copper nanoparticles is formed when we use the plant extract. So plant extracts are actually has lots of phytochemicals, this which help the reduction of the copper. So in this, the anionic forms of these acids that get transformed into their respective quinone forms by donating electrons and initiate the reduction of Cu2 plus and Cu plus ions to convert into zero-valent copper. So in this the soft ligand, that means OH this group, and hard ligand. The hard ligand, these are the main groups which help for the stabilizing of these zero valence nanoparticles. So when we use the ultrasound or the sonochemical synthesis, we get the uniform that's nanoparticles, but as compared to this the conventional method. Now, so when we synthesize, we have applied that catalyst or perform the catalytic reaction in the for the wastewater treatment. That's this consists of this 5-fluorouracil and the lovastatin. These drugs are used for the cancer treatment and for cholesterol lowering. So when we have the excess amount in the body, so that creates some issues in the health or the aquatic life. So before going to that, we have here to first optimize this the loading of the nanoparticles and the pH. So the wastewater comes under different pH, maybe that acidic or in the base or an alkaline condition. So these nanoparticles surprisingly gives both or the activity in the acidic conditions and the alkaline condition. And speciality of these particles are these can be performed, the experiment can be performed in the highly acidic and highly alkaline condition. So after conducting the experiments in different categories. So this study is for the study of the investigation of synergy effect. So normally during the wastewater treatment, we use the multiple processes. So for that's for mineralization. So that process might not be economical for the industry. That may that's increase the operating cost. So that is we must study the synergy effect. So this synergy effect basically indicates the composite or the that's or the combination or the of different processes, whether it's feasible or economical, right? So in this case, we have conducted or applied ultrasound applications that are externally added hydrogen peroxide, which will act as an oxidant. So here we have found that under UV light and ultrasound that in the presence of the nanoparticles, it gives the highest degradation and within short span of time. Here you can see where that the other conventional methods, it takes more time. So here you can see within 15 minutes that it gives only the 60% of degradation or mineralization. So now the terms here, that's degradation and or mineralization.
That is not a concern. पूर्ण करना है, हे नहीं बनना है, तो he is who is speaking.
Yeah. So this can be conducted, and we can obtain the 60% of removal, and here that's 80% of removal just within the 15 minutes of treatment. If we extend the reaction, then we can get the 100% of mineralization. That means that degradation and mineralization are different. So degradation does not give any that's confirmation that the water can be reused or saved. But when we talk about the mineralization, so it is giving the total organic carbon presence in the system. So here we can see that when we add the synergy effect, what we observed is the maximum synergy index was the category A. That means that sonication in the presence of nanoparticles. So that nanoparticles, the mechanism it works is like the nanoparticles when we add to the system, it provides the nucleation sites and the sonication that is based on the capitation. So which produces this highly oxidative reactive species and the radicals, so that they directly attack the organic molecules and degrade them. Now, so why this is the actual mechanism of the particles that we have synthesized. So this in the presence of ultrasound, what we observe is that the Cu plus that is reduced from the copper durable copper nanoparticles that promoted that's a degradation process by producing OH radical and superoxide radicals, so which are highly reactive. Now, second phase is here. We have synthesized one nickel-based carbon nanoparticles through the flame deposition methods. So here we have used that the nanoparticles for treatment of the textile dyes here. So we can see that this is the under visible light treatment, the left hand side. The right hand side you can see is under UV light. So So this essentially indicates that the nanoparticles are highly, that's a reactive under the UV light that can absorb the wavelength on the that falls under the UV light range and degrade completely of 100%. You can see that's how it is changing. Now, when you talk about the nanoparticles, not all the each and every nanoparticles are environment friendly. So we must do some toxicity test. We have also started some, that's a bacteria, gram-positive bacteria, Bacillus cereus. So here you can see that the bacteria has growth is uniform here. So there is no, that the nanoparticles are not harmful. So we can confirm from here. So these nanoparticles we have applied for other purposes like micropollutant separation from the water. So now the problem is that there are lots of micropollutants which are, that's can maybe visible or may not be visible, just small particles. So these are nanoparticles are highly, that's hydrophobic or super hydrophobic. So it does not, that's absorb any the water molecule on it, the surface. So when we make some, some ferrofluid, we can easily remove this. So here, these synthesis or that's particles are easily removable using the magnetic field. So here you can see that's A, B, C, D. So this is the final how it looks like. Now, after that, we have applied this that's a super hydrophobic magnetic nanoparticle for oil separation. So here, why we are talking about the super hydrophobic? So you can see this is the water droplet. So that we have just pour on the, or put one water droplets on the surface of this nanoparticle. So you can see, and this is how the oil droplets. It's completely absorbed on the surface. Now here you can see this is the oil, and this is the nano mixture of that's addition of the nanoparticles. Now this is magnetic field we have applied. Now you can see how it you can absorb. Now the capacity of the nanoparticles is 7 to 8 times of its weight. So if we have that's a 1 gram of nanoparticles, we can remove 7 to 8 gram of the oil from the mixture of oil water. Now, so these nanoparticles even can be applied for icing and the de-icing. So we can delay the icing system, or we can even, that's a enhance the de-icing system. So this is most of the, that's important. So for when we have the low temperature, when we store something, so if there are some problems, is that, that ice may create some problem that storage. So it, if we spray that nanoparticles on any storage tank, so it will not allow the, that water molecule to, for icing. So it will help for de-icing system as well. So this all are done for, that's our students, so under my supervision. So our students are highly also equipped. That's that's dealing with some other techniques like oil and natural gas production, that's polymer nanocomposite, modeling of and kinetics and wastewater treatment. That's a study of a complex fluid. So which is one of the major that's important parts of any industry for, that's so most of the time what we observe is like, that's industry and the theory or the practical and theoretical does not work. So our students are mostly focused on validating those theory and the practical concepts. And here that some of the initiative that taken by the ISA Bhopal, you can see that's for water harvesting and storage here. So we are doing some initiative, and also that our students are this going the villages and for the awareness campaigning. And through, so these are some news articles which are published that the students are going through, that's for blazes or for awareness. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's all. If anybody has any questions, I'm ready to address those questions.
Dr. Shankar, I think this was an excellent presentation. Great work on technology development. Just one quick question from my side. How far do you see the commercialization of this?
Yes, we are on the same line now. So since it's a lab scale, now we are trying to improve it to the pilot scale. Now, most probably we are, that's able to commercialize in few years.
I'm sure many of our participants watching your presentation would be interested in it, and I wish you all the best for you and your team of students who are working on this. So before we move ahead, I would like to thank Dr. Avinash Kulkarni and ArcLight Specialty Labs Private Limited for being the sponsors for this particular session and for the event as well. Thank you, Dr. Kulkarni and ArcLight Specialty Labs. Moving ahead, I would now like to invite Mr. Yogen Lal, Director, Vertical Headwaters Wellspun Enterprise Limited, to make his presentation in the session. Mr.
Yeah,
Lal,
good
please.
afternoon, Tejashree. Good afternoon,
Good
and
afternoon.
thank you for having us. So I'll try and endeavor to complete my presentation within the allotted time. So I'll just share my screen and then we can start. Just a minute, please. So I hope I am audible and my screen is visible.
Very much. You can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So this is just about Wellspun Enterprises. So we are part of the Wellspun Group, and this is the infrastructure arm of the Wellspun Group. Just a brief introduction on the Wellspun Group. The group has a revenue of 2.7 billion US dollars, and we are global leader in home textiles. Wellspun Corp, our pipe manufacturing arm, is one amongst the world's largest line pipe manufacturers. We have in the infra, we have a robust portfolio of road and water projects, and our recently started entity, Wellspun One, is an integrated grade A warehousing solution provider. So just, we are globally known in home textiles in terms of towels and bed sheets. Every fifth towel in the US is a Wellspun product, and every 10th bed sheet in the US is a Wellspun product. So, we export to more than 50 countries, and all of this is manufactured at our Wellspun Anjar city, on which I am going to talk about some of a flagship project there and some of the other endeavors that we've taken in the water domain. In the next, just to explain the Wellspun Group, we have been nurturing businesses, and within this, the infrastructure arm of the Wellspun Group is focused on development of projects on hybrid annuity model. In terms of water particularly, we have focused on wastewater recycle and reuse. And we are also into Har Ghar Nal Se Jal, and now targeting micro irrigation so that we get more crop per drop. So these are the three endeavors in the water segment which are guiding us. And I'll take you through some of the initiatives that we have already taken up. So we have sustainability is at the core of our group. In all our businesses that we conduct, be it pipes or be it textiles or be it infrastructure, we endeavor to be responsible and sustainable, and long-term sustainability, particularly of water, because our plant, as you know, is located in Anjar, which is our major manufacturing facility. We have a 2,500 acre facility in Anjar, which is in Kutch, and it is an arid region, almost a desert. But if you come to our plant, you will find that through sustainable use of water supply systems, use of green energy and rainwater harvesting, we have turned it into a green city. We have a 30-acre orchard over there. We have been using the best practices that is possible to conserve and water. And sustainability and inclusive growth are some of the key drivers of our core values, which we are trying to implement across all our businesses. In terms of the Anjar wastewater recycle reuse plant at Anjar, so this is an innovative project to use water for captive purposes. Anjar has two adjacent towns. One is Gandhidham and the other is Kandla. And sewage from these towns has been collected by us on a BOT basis. That is, we took up this project on a BOT basis. So 30 MLD worth of sewage is being collected by us daily and being processed in a primary treatment plant and primary and secondary treatment plant based on ASP project, ASP technology. And from there, we pump it to 8 kilometers into our plant, where we have set up a tertiary level plant, which is based on ultrafiltration and RO. And by the virtue of this, we are able to generate 30 mld of water, which is as good as potable, but which is being used for industrial purposes for all our processes and for all our daily usage other than drinking. So by virtue of this plant, we've been able to reduce the demand of the fresh water to the extent of 30 mld. In fact, we barely take 1 mld of fresh water from the government for that. And therefore, if you see, we've been able to use nearly 95% or meet 95% of our requirement through recycling of sewage. And this is some project which has helped us in good stead. There are multiple benefits. One is that raw sewage, which was previously being disposed into nearby water bodies, was causing water pollution, which has been arrested by virtue of the networking and collection of this sewage. We have saved surface water to the extent of 30 mld every day. And in terms of O&M of the assets, we have created local opportunity. And as a further step towards further backward integration and furthering green this, we are setting up a sludge treatment plant to generate biogas or power from the sludge that is generated, so that we are able to reduce the power consumption, which is currently 7 megawatts for this plant, and bring it down to 2 or 3 megawatt. So that is the endeavor. So we are using this plant continuously, consistently for the last 5 to 6 years. And it has been a boon both for the local populace as well as for us. So this is one such initiative which we have taken, which we are proud of, and we are looking forward to replicate this in other areas where we have, for instance, we have one plant near Hyderabad, which is into flooring. So we are also exploring the possibility of replicating this in talks with the state government for that. Coming to the next project, this is in Madhya Pradesh in Devas. So this is a project which is meant for industrial water supply. Here we are treating we are treating water from the Narmada River and supplying it to industries. As Mr. Jain, who was also a panelist here, was mentioning that groundwater extraction has been rampant and people are, industries are using groundwater without any NOCs. So this plant has eliminated the need for groundwater by being able to supply water to nearly 400 plus consumers in and around the Devas region, in the particularly to industrial consumers. So we are today having nearly 400 consumers and are supplying water to them on a daily basis for the last 2.5 years. In terms of Har Ghar Nal Se Jal, which is the Jal Jeevan mission of the SW of the government of India, we are implementing a 4,000 crore scheme in 2,500 villages in 5 districts. And here we are using solar power based pumping system to minimize energy cost over the period of time. And this will probably benefit nearly 40 lakh people. So again, the focus is on green, sustainable, renewable systems, so that we are able to contribute to the betterment of the planet that we live on. In terms of the last initiative, which is more crop per drop. So we are looking at, we do not have anything currently, but our endeavor is to look at lift irrigation schemes with micro irrigation system at the end, where we are able to, maximize the productivity of the farmer or the agriculture by virtue of efficient sprinkler systems, which are very well designed and scientifically designed to be able to enable them to develop this. And this is currently under development and probably will be launched in the next coming year or so. We also have in Madhya Pradesh set up a facility for a state-of-the-art facility under Welspun Corp to set up a plant to manufacture spiral welded pipes, which is being used for various projects all over Madhya Pradesh and also other states. In addition to that, to cater to the huge requirement of the Jal Jeevan mission, which is imminent, we have set up. We are in the process of setting up at Anjar DI pipe ranging with size range from 80 to 1200 mm and a capacity of 400 kilometric ton per annum. So this we expect to start in the first quarter of 2022. And these are some of the initiatives which we briefly wanted to share with you. And thank you for the opportunity, madam. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you, Mr. Lal. I think these are excellent examples of how industry can take a lead in terms of demonstrating its responsible business practices. Water being a very touchy, very sensitive and very important topic, not only environmental point of view, but social point of view as well. I think what I can highlight from what you have presented is, the responsible thought in terms of use of resource basically also facilitates industries to have their social license for operating other than the environmental licenses that we seek. So how less we draw from the nature and how we rejuvenate. So you touched upon three important aspects of transportation, of water efficient use and rejuvenating the wastewater to various technologies that you have deployed. And I think it is very informative, and I'm sure most of the industries will find it interesting to also cross deploy across their locations. So thank you very much. And I think we can only urge responsible companies like yours and many other to share this information with more and more of our supply chains to translate these good practices across the value chain. So thank you for your presentation.
We'll be happy to share it across forums like yours.
Absolutely, I think that would be a great thing, so we can share across with our listeners and viewers as well. So thank you so much, and I think I'm very conscious of the time, so let's move ahead quickly. I'm very interested in this presentation. I would now like to call Ms. Raita Mochela. I have very recently interacted with her, and I have found the technology that she's going to present on wastewater treatment very interesting. And I'm sure all of you will find that, because the one concern that I mentioned today of a choice of technology is in terms of how efficient it is in terms of use of resource. And particularly when we talk about wastewater treatment, it is the energy that the system will require to consume, which will determine how long the system is being used. So without further ado, I would quickly like to welcome Ms. Raita and hand over the presentation to her. I would only request if we can stick to the time of 10 minutes, please. Raita, over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. And very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just share my screen, and then I'll try to go through the presentation within 10 minutes. We are going to actually take a look at a video first. That will be about 5 minutes, and the rest 5 minutes, I'll be showing you a few case studies and some comparisons between our technology and conventional sewage treatment plants. And I've titled my presentation as Reimagining Sewage Treatment with Instant Solid Separation. So the main different thing about our technology is that we don't create any sludge. To begin with, we instantly separate the solid matter from the wastewater. So now I'll show the same thing with the video. So just give me a second. Just a second. I think I shared the wrong window. Just give me a minute. Okay, I hope you are able to see my video screen now. And
yes,
I will be speaking through the video here. So here, in any property, like usually sewage treatment would involve treating sludge, where everything is mixed together, the fecal matter and the flushing water, and of course the rest of the grey water or whatever the property generates. And now we see what aquatron can do in such a scenario without mixing anything into a sludge. So you can see that after flushing the toilet, our solids, liquids, toilet paper, everything travels along the pipe. And in our case, it goes into the aquatron device, which is this white hourglass shape in the center of the screen. So here, the momentum of the flushing water is going to work together with the shape of the device, and centrifugal force is created. So centrifugal force takes care of taking the liquids out from a side outlet, and gravity is going to take care of collecting the solids into a chamber. So only by using centrifugal force, gravity, and the momentum of flushing water, all natural forces, we are able to separate the solid and the liquid before any sludge is generated. So we are not using any power to do this, and there are also no moving parts that we need. It's all the shape of the aquatron device that does the job for us. So this is the primary treatment phase of sewage treatment done for you without any power consumption at all. And also here we don't need any human intervention. It is a very natural process. So this enables us to separate 98% of the water, and 2% will go into the solid collection chamber together with the solids. But there's also a way to separate those through a specially designed biofilter mat. You can see there is a blue mat on the bottom of the biochamber. And here in the video, you can see a UV unit. This would be probably used only in very simple installations where we want to kill the bacteria immediately, and if we don't need any further treatment. But in most cases, in industrial or any bigger residential installations, it is often the best thing to give more treatment to the water to achieve the PCB norms. And here next thing is we are getting the water into a settling tank, and there's only going to be very minor particles left in this water that comes to the tank. And if you have a property where you don't need to take care of the PCB norms, this water is already within the on-land irrigation standards. So if it's only the flushing water separated from aquatron, it is perfectly fine to use it for gardening as it is. And in Europe, they also infiltrate it into the ground in some cases. So then coming to see like what happens to the solid that we collected in that biochamber. We would have a biochamber with multiple compartments. So the one you see here on the screen would be made of FRP, but we make it even in civil or SS. Okay, so here this is again the separation of the 2% water that is remaining in the solid chamber. And once we have separated all the water from the fecal matter, it is time to do composting. Or okay, we'll first collect fecal matter in the chamber, let one compartment fill. And then once we have a full chamber, maybe after a few months, in some cases, even after a few years, then we will rotate the chamber or use a different mechanism to make this chamber a passive chamber. So here, what's going to happen is that once there's no more water, nothing is being added, there's going to be reactions caused by the bacteria that is already present in the fecal matter. And what the bacteria is going to do for you is it's going to convert this fecal matter into mostly water vapor and carbon dioxide. So in effect, from a user point of view, it means that within a few weeks, depending on the weather, or maybe a few months, that entire fecal matter, up to 95% of it, is going to be converted into gases. So at the end, we have about 5% of it left. And by that time, it is also converted into like a soil, a dry soil kind of a form, which is perfect to use as manure. And you might have seen on the screen that there's absolutely no smell associated with this whole process. sewage smell actually comes about only when you mix the solid and liquid. That is when those smelly chemical reactions are generated, and methane, which is smelly, is also made. But in our processes, we are not generating any of that, and there's no smell. One of the best examples I've heard from our Sweden office is that there's a client who has actually placed this solid chamber in a bedroom. So they have a property where the toilets are upstairs, and then they have a cellar bedroom, and then they're using this biochamber as a pretty table. They put a tablecloth, then only aquatron is visible. And even in a bedroom context, there's absolutely no disturbing smell for them. So here, the primary treatment has been done without generating any sludge, and instead we have got the manure as well as the separated flushing water for instant reuse. Now I'm soon going to talk about cases where we need to treat the water for PCB standards. Then we'll give some further treatment equipment. But before that, some benefits of using aquatron. Now, as you already saw, there's no power consumption associated to the primary treatment phase of sewage treatment when we use aquatron. And also, in aquatron, there's nothing that could break down. And that means that the maintenance is very, very easy, and it can be done by any regular kind of a facility management person or any regular worker. And there's also no requirement for consumables and no downtime for aquatron. Also, no sewage smell around the system or even around the water tanks. And one of the major benefits is that we don't need 24/7 operators for our systems. In any case, even if we have the further treatment after the aquatron, like for grey water and all, we will not need to have these expensive operators. And then we are able to treat the non-toilet grey water also quite lightly with aquatron. And now you might be thinking that, okay, aquatron seems to be maybe, what is the size of aquatron? So here, each of these devices can actually handle 25 WCs. And if you have more than 25 WCs, that means we are just going to keep adding on aquatron units. So for example, for 100 WCs, we would have about 4 aquatron units. And that means that it's quite widely applicable for different kind of properties, from private residencies, schools, apartments, offices, hotels, restaurants, hospitals, factories, and almost any kind of place that has a toilet. And we have the Green Pro certification from the Green Building Council, then some health and safety certifications from Europe. Of course, aquatron is also patented, and it has all the appropriate technical approvals. And we also got the first prize in a competition arranged by the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation in 2017. There the category name was Early Decomposition of Fecal Matter, and aquatron was selected as the best solution for that among about 300 contestants. So I hope that I've been able to give a initial idea of what aquatron is. And now very briefly, I'll talk about a few other things that were not mentioned in the video. So one thing I wanted to mention is that now if we want to see exactly what are the parameters of this water that we get out of aquatron, the separated water, we would have a starting BOD of flushing water at least 150 mg per liter. But after we remove the solid, it comes to approximately 20 to 40 mg per liter. So in some cases, this is already within the PCB norms. But to be on the safe side, we usually recommend a little bit further treatment to achieve the PCB limit for sure. And then you might be wondering like, okay, how big does my chamber need to be for holding that solid matter? So there are some guidelines, like for a biochamber, if it's a residential installation, it would be about 24 liters per person. And if it's a non-residential installation, then 6 liters per person is the design capacity. And this is just a comparison, like when we talk about treating the entire water apart from the flushing water also.
Raita, we are not able to see that other screen. I think we are still in the video.
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, I think this should be better. Are you able to see it now?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the comparison between an aquatron-based STP and a conventional STP. On the left side, the conventional STP is a more complex type of treatment compared to what we have on the right side for the aquatron-based systems. Mainly, we are saving on the different types of tanks and also on the way we treat the sludge. So finally, after aquatron, we collect the separated flushing water together with grey water, and also if there's a canteen, restaurant, anything like that, that water will also come to the same settling tank via an oil and grease separator and a solid separator. Then we ozonate the water, and then we filter the water. There might be activated carbon sand filter, and then PVDF filter, which is like a microfiltration up to 0.1 microns. And then we also disinfect the water with UV, and then we have treated water from which we can use for gardening, or we can dispose in the drain. And if we want to treat even a little further for, let's say, for chillers reuse, we could put an RO plant to make sure that the water is suitable for the chillers. And there are also other options if you want to go like totally green and you have space in your property. A reed bed is an excellent option because here it's the plants, the protozoa, bacteria, gravel, like all natural methods that will treat the water to the same PCB standard that you require. And at the same time, it's a 2-in-1 solution because you get a landscaped, beautiful area as well. And this also doesn't smell. We work together with one of the topmost reed bed consultants to create these solutions with aquatrons and reed beds. Of course, reed beds are also there without aquatron, but here the benefit is that we can use a much smaller space once we have removed the solids. So here the area reduction, if we are using aquatron, is about 50 to 75%. And as an example, I mentioned that if you have 90 KLD, you would require about 300 square meters to have this reed bed system. And cost-wise also, our STPs compare well with the conventional technologies. Here we are at least 30% less than the other STPs in CapEx and in the OpEx, mainly because our power consumption is very low and we don't need operators. We are at least 65% less than the conventional technologies. And at the moment, like after about 3-4 years of operating in India, we have about 50 clients around the country, from industries to architects and private organizations. And just quickly, I'll show you a few projects. This is a factory near Hyderabad where they have 500 users and we've given them a reed bed after the separation. So it's about 22.5 KLD and they are paying about 500 rupees per month to operate this sewage treatment system there. Then there's another building in Hyderabad. This is an IT tower, 220 KLD, and we have placed our aquatron units in the cellar. They have some dead spaces there. So the solid separation and our odorless biochamber are there in the parking cellar. And then on the lowest cellar, we have the water treatment plant. And also any properties where space is an issue are something that aquatron can handle because we need much less of tank space. For example, this is a hospital in Hyderabad where they didn't actually have any space for an STP, but they had to have an STP to meet some regulations. So finally, we were the only people who were able to give them a solution where we placed our STP below their parking space. So we created an underground room where we first collect the solids, and then we have tanks for the liquids where also the grey water is coming. And that little blue shed here is as much space as is required for the treatment plant. And here PCB standards were achieved and the hospital got their certifications.
Raita, just if we could quickly conclude.
Yes, yeah. This is just half a minute, just individual houses. If there's no sewage connection, municipal sewage connection, we can also do those. And internationally also, Aquatron is very well tried and tested since 30 years. And it is used in model ecological projects. This one is from the UK since 2009. And just one last detail I wanted to mention here is that in this particular project, they haven't had the need to empty any solid matter from this biochamber for more than 8 years.
Thank you, Raita. I think because we have some limitations on the time slot on the platform, but I think let me thank you for an excellent presentation. The technology itself is, so lucrative in terms of addressing all the issues that normally people have for deploying systems for wastewater recycling. So since we are very short of time, I would now like to conclude the session and also our conclave today by thanking initially the MP Jal Nigam, the Central Groundwater Authority, the Maharashtra MP Pollution Control Board for the support to the event. And all this would not have been possible without our sponsors. So I would definitely like to mention Unicare, Wellspun, Arclight, Mita Industries, Signet Group, Mahindra Group, and Darling Pumps. Thank you very much to all our sponsors for the event and the conclave. I'm sure you all would have found it very interesting as well as informative and would like to take back thoughts on the various technologies also that were presented. So thank you so much. And I would now like to hand it over to Roshan to conclude the whole session. Thank you. Thank you, CII.
Thank you everyone for joining in, and thank you, ma'am, for concluding us. Thank you all. We are now bring to the close of this event. Thank you.